Introducing the APP candidate for St. Philip West, Lynette Eastman.
Friends, family, Barbadians, fellow constituents of St. Philip West, I am here today representing the Alliance Party for Progress. And one of the first matters that I would like to discuss with you is the importance of ensuring that we vote. We must never take that right for granted. It was fought for over many years. And now that we have that right and that privilege, we should not take it for granted. And it is for this reason that I'm asking you, all of you out there, to come out in your numbers. You have a choice in this election. Every election is important, and this one is just as important as any other election. I personally trust Barbadians to always make the right choice. On this occasion, we need to put right what we did in 2018. In 2018, we became so disgusted that we felt that we had to put an end to that government. At this point in time, we need to ensure that in Parliament, we have representatives of not just the traditional parties, but the newer parties that have emerged, such as the Alliance. The Alliance consists of many individuals. Some of them have spent a long time in politics. Some of them are new to the political arena. And it is that mix that we are bringing to you that we believe will be beneficial to the country in an overwhelming way. We have amongst us economists, lawyers. We have persons gifted in information technology and trained in that area. We have health and wellness experts. So ladies and gentlemen, there's no need to worry. I myself have been a member of the LYNETTE cabinet, along with my colleague, Bishop Atherley. This gave us an opportunity to see how a government should be run properly and how a cabinet should function. And the emphasis here is on consultation. The emphasis is on hearing every view. I often recall being in cabinet and recognizing that the chair of the cabinet ensured that we went around the table so that every single voice could be heard. Not only the ones that were the experts. If it were a matter of food prices, it wasn't just those who had been trained in economics, but those who understood the impact that high prices would have on families. And that now seems to be missing in Barbados. We're not having the consultation that we should have in making these very, very important issues for Barbados. The Alliance will bring us back to that position where we consult amongst ourselves, but also consult with stakeholders as well as the wider public. Because of our inability, or should I say the government's past inability to deal with corruption, we now face the prospect that only a small clique of individuals will actually see wealth in Barbados. So we're creating a superclass of wealthy people, and it seems to me an underclass. Barbados cannot allow this to happen. This is happening because opportunities are being hidden from Barbadians. They're not being allowed to take advantage of the opportunities that come up from day to day. Because corruption is not simply about stealing money. In my view, corruption is also about preventing our people from accessing the opportunities that countries like Barbados can develop. When I think about the areas that have been developed in Barbados, I think to myself that we're losing a great opportunity to really focus on the creative, cultural, and technology industries. I don't say this lightly, and to be honest, I struggle sometimes to be able to convince individuals that this is a real industry that we're talking about. Many individuals don't realize it, even though they turn their television on every day to watch the international networks who are being paid for sending those programs to us here in Barbados. So they send them out to the entire world. There's nothing stopping Barbados from doing the same. There's so many different individuals out there with so many different tastes that we can develop programs and products that can be sold to the entire world. We're only about 300,000 people, and there are millions of people to sell to. If we were elected to office, we would invest in the creative, cultural, and technology industries. Why do I think that this should be an easy sell? We already have people in these industries. It isn't like the medicinal marijuana industry that we know nothing about. And this is growing marijuana for medicinal purposes to selling to a particular market with various standards. We already have individuals in Barbados who are good at music. And we always say how much talent we have. Music, film, fashion. There are individuals who have already sold their work abroad. There are individuals who have had their films screened from the United States to Canada to the UK to Africa. We have had songs that have made it big in the region and throughout the world. Why is it that no government would invest in an industry? And let me say that an industry is not every independence picking a few people to perform. That's not an industry. An industry is not about calling up a filmmaker and suggesting to them that you can put their film in a slot on television, and quite often for free. That's not an industry. An industry requires structure. We did this already when we built the international business sector. Everybody understood that it had to be structured. There was legislation, specific legislation that was put in place to support it. There was money put to promote it. Individuals were trained. Government invested in promotion and marketing, engaged specific areas within the civil service to make sure that those particular departments supported the export of our international business sector. This is what is required for cultural industries. There are already Barbadians quietly who are working for software development companies. They're here in Barbados and the companies are abroad. So we have the talent here. There are individuals here who are being headhunted by companies abroad to do work. So what would happen if our government took 1% of what is now allocated to tourism to start these industries? We would see a massive difference. A massive difference because the individuals who engage in these industries come from every sector in Barbados, come from every demographic, come from every social background. What would happen if we were able to empower those people through the creative industries, through culture and through technology? It would make a vast difference. For the people of St. Philip West, and I know in that constituency, there are a number of individuals who would be interested in seeing that we build out that part of the economy. And I'm asking you to send me to Parliament so that I can assist in that development. But I also know that a lot of this starts from at the community level. And at the community level, there are a lot of issues that we have. There's a concern about young people. Yes, there is. And there is a need for a specific intervention. Within St. Philip West, we would ensure that you see that troubled period that young people have, where they're transitioning from childhood into adulthood, that needs to be addressed, not by hoping that they will make it, but by developing a specific program to help them to transition with so many of the issues that they have to face. Their body is changing, their mind is changing. As soon as they turn 18, people say to them that you're an adult. When at 17, you were still a child. So magically, you become an adult at 18. You're treated as an adult by the justice system. You're expected to vote. You're expected to take on responsibilities. Should we not have been teaching them about this from the time they were at least teenagers? Or maybe even been after they've done the 11 plus at 12? It actually makes no sense. And in other cultures, they do have a system for transition, but we have lost ours, so we have to create a new one. We have people in the constituency that are concerned about their businesses. They need to develop their business. They need advice. They need to focus on marketing. They need help with their business plans when they're seeking funding, whether it's from the private sector or whether it's from government. And then we have our retirees and we have our elderly in the society. Because you've retired doesn't mean that you've suddenly lost all of your skills. Our retirees in the community need to be engaged as well. And as far as I can see, they're the ones who would be able to help us with business development and that transition which young people have to make from childhood to adulthood. There are many issues within the constituency of St. Philip West. When I look around, I know that the constituency has been neglected by those that you have put your confidence in before. I'm asking you to give me this opportunity. On January 19th, I'm asking you to come out in St. Philip West and choose me, Lynette Eastman, as your representative in the House of Parliament. Thank you.
Everton Peru Holligan, APP candidate for St. George South. Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, APP candidate for St. George North. Paula Bradshaw, APP candidate for St. Joseph. Wayne T. Griffith, APP candidate for St. Lucie. Philippe Amy, APP candidate for St. John. Lynette Eastman, APP candidate for St. Philip West. Nigel Newton, APP candidate for St. Philip North. Bruce Hennis, APP candidate for St. Philip South. Dr. Belfield Belgrave, APP candidate for Christchurch West Central. Sean Shooter, APP candidate for Christchurch East Central. Victor Knight, APP candidate for Christchurch East.
Bishop Joseph Adderley, APP candidate for St. Michael Central.
Veronica Price, APP candidate for St. Michael West Central. Erskine Branch, APP candidate for St. Michael East. Patsy Nurse, APP candidate of St. Michael West. Irvin Belgrave, APP candidate of St. Michael South.
Marva Lashley Todd, APP candidate for the City of Bridgetown. David Gill, APP candidate for St. Michael South Central. Patrick Tanis, APP candidate for St. Michael South East. Maria Phillips, APP candidate for St. Michael North. Introducing the APP candidate for St. Michael Central, Bishop Joseph Atherley.
Barbadians and constituents of St. Michael Central, particularly pleased to have the opportunity to say a few words with you today. And thank you for letting me into your homes and for giving me an ear. You know, the honor and high sense of responsibility of standing in the gap for Barbados over the last 3.5 years in the defense of its democracy has been mine as leader of the opposition. My thanks especially though to Senator Franklin and Senator Drakes for helping me to lead the fight in preserving that democracy beyond purely the institutional level. I'm especially pleased today to be a part of a team of men and women under the banner of the Alliance Party for Progress, the APP, a group of highly capable persons of great academic and professional distinction, persons of good moral fiber, and exceptionally important integrity. The Alliance is birthed out of the very compatible philosophies, if you prefer, ideologies of the United Progressive Party and the People's Party for Democracy and Development. That philosophy gives birth to and is guided by a sense of duty to a sovereign God, a God from whom we derive a sense of duty to our fellow men, and also a sense of value as we interact with men in our society in various contexts. But what is the Alliance Party for Progress? What do we represent? What do we stand for? And I will take the opportunity today just perhaps to share briefly and with reference to 10 important points of philosophy, of policy posture, of intended programming, all in an effort to ensure that we pursue together on your behalf the interests of all Barbadians. 1, we stand for and intend to implement policies which will give way to people-centered initiatives which bring meaningful benefits. In other words, policy that starts from the bosom of the people and from which benefits for the people are derived. People must matter and do matter more than anything else. Secondly, a governance model that works. That is, it has integrity in its operations, its capacity in terms of its ability to deliver, and it carries transparency with reference to the high levels of accountability that will be inbuilt. 3, a growth model that results in shared prosperity for all and not the skewed kind of development that we now endure, which convey benefits only to a privileged few. A system that allows for obvious and fair access to treatment and redress in matters of legal, social, and economic justice. A commitment to the building of sound platforms for the provision of education, housing, and other social welfare services. 6, a significant role for the state and its involvement in enterprise, while at the same time, and more importantly so, facilitating investment, private sector-led growth, and the development of labor, all in the context of a sound social partnership which is uncompromised and unfettered. 7, the elimination of corruption, and it has to be eliminated. We are at a stage now where corruption is so rife in Barbados that a clear objective must be elimination, not simply reduction, not simply curbing, but elimination of corruption in Barbados. We do this through potent legislation enacted and executed or implemented, fair remuneration, and appropriate mechanisms for accountability in the context of clear transparency. The expansion of ownership opportunity in Barbados, both with respect to land, business, and capital. It cannot be that in 2022, after all of the investment which sacrificially this country has made in areas of education and other very important areas of socio-economic development and our political development as well, it cannot be that in 2022, after all of this investment, that the majority of Barbadians still remain landless and otherwise dispossessed. The Alliance Party for Progress will change that. We are here to stop poor people from being poor. Land access, the matter of land taxes, must be subjects of priority address for a new Alliance Party for Progress government. Capital access, which continues to deny to poor aspiring business men and women in Barbados the opportunity to build thriving business, while all they can do is stand and watch while those who are already abundant in wealth are further blessed by the generosity of a government's hand. Business development through enterprise must be a priority for us. When I was but a boy growing up in Station Hill, and that is in St. Michael's Central for those of you across Barbados who may not know, my mother always drilled in my head, Junior, go to school and learn well. Don't want to see you end up picking pond grass on Waterford Plantation, which was not far from where I grew up. And I've, ever since then, and especially in my young adult life and with my university training, developed a perspective on this thing which I think is pertinent for Barbados today. And it is this: if we look at the development of our social architecture or economic profile, even our model of governance in Barbados, what we find is simply this: that once we were slaves in their fields, then we moved beyond that and we became servants in their houses or their homes. And then we graduated, and it would seem as though there's a sense of satisfaction of having attained this level. We become stewards in their offices and their businesses. So we are accountants and we are managers and we control the technology systems. We are but stewards in their offices and companies. The philosophy of the Alliance Party for Progress is this: we must move beyond being stewards and become owners in Barbados. So the pursuit of mass-based ownership in Barbados is a premium objective for this party, which I have the honor to lead, and that's a commitment we make to you. Number 9, the building out of a democracy in which power in real and actual terms is resided in the hands of the people. It resides with the people. That is what republic means. Real power is reposed in the hands of the people. Democracy also implies that. We in Barbados have now become accustomed and seemingly sometimes contented with a situation where power comes to the people once every 5 years. In this instance, for whatever unknown reason, it has come in the middle of a pandemic 3.5 years early. The people have had no say and will be exposed to possible infection through spread of the Omicron virus, admittedly by the officials, among us. But we promise you a model of governance, a culture of democracy, the outworkings of institutions which will clearly demonstrate that power resides in the hands of the people, not once every 5 years, but every day. And we will be a party where people's participation and the further inclusiveness of the people of this country will be reflected in how we are governed, how we govern ourselves, and how we remain accountable to each other as we chase our national dreams. So it's a building of a democracy in which power, in real and actual terms, lies in the hands of the people. The fashioning of institutions respected highly, functional very efficiently, and serving the interests of Barbados in the region and beyond. A nation-building exercise that does not jettison our values. It does not dismantle our foundational institutions. It does not denude our communities of their richness, and it certainly does not deny our nations, our people's reliance on a God who is sovereign and supreme, and who has expressed himself in bountiful blessings upon this country for the past several hundred years. So I ask you, when you go to the polls on January 19th, all across Barbados, to consider the candidates, the men and women, men who are exceptional achievers in the areas of academic training, professional responsibility, and some who are very active in their communities and who are well connected with the people. We have a rich blend of talent, some experience, as Lynette would have shared, some youthful exuberance and enthusiasm, which is always good. But all of us possess of a sense of unified vision for the betterment of Barbados. A government must become an instrument that brings about meaningful change. And several of the policies to which I just made reference may fall into the realm of things we have heard before. Some of them do, for sure. We will always admit that. There's hardly anything which is totally new. But you know this? What matters or what makes the difference is the implementation. And if the implementation leads to radical and revolutionary change, then we are serving a purpose as a government. We lay the charge against this government that though they have managed certain things well, they have not brought about significant revolutionary change in the lives of the people of Barbados, either at the level of the poor working class of Barbados, the many unemployed all across this country, or even a private sector battling the ravages and salts of the winds of COVID and other pressures coming from abroad. The Alliance Party for Progress makes a commitment that when you elect us to government, we will pursue policies which in their intention and in their actualization will bring about radical and revolutionary change. We are here to stop poor people from being poor. We are here to engage ourselves with the people in a wholesome exercise of nation building. That's what we're committed to. So I ask you again, all across this country, on January 19th, to vote for the candidates of the Alliance Party for Progress. I ask you humbly to vote for myself in St. Michael's Central. Many of you knew that I grew up in that constituency, spent the first 30 years or so of my life. All my adult formation stems from my experiences in St. Michael's Central. Some of you may know as well, I pastor a church, senior minister of the church, which is located in St. Michael's Central. And I've served the communities of St. Michael's Central for the past over 30 years. I've done that selflessly. I've done it sacrificially. I've done it out of a sense of calling, a sense of duty to God, and a strong desire to help my fellow men and women and my friends and associates, and many with whom I grew up in Station Hill. The Lord has helped me to be an instrument of blessing to many. I've led the church in programs of ministry that offer social welfare and financial assistance to families and households which are stressed long before COVID. That has only been intensified since COVID. Every service of the church, whether it be funerals in times of bereavement and sadness, whether it be weddings or baby christenings in times of gladness and bliss, have offered the services of church all without charge because I'm here under a sense of calling from God to serve the people of this land, and through the instrumentality of that church in Station Hill, to serve the surrounding communities of Bush Hall and Waterford and Bank Hall and Water Hall land and Station Hill and Dean's Village and Flint Hall. That is what Joseph Atherley has committed his life to through the ministry of the church these past over 3 decades, without pay, without asking for any returns, because I seek to serve you. And I bring that same attitude to this moment of election on January 19th. You know me and I know you. I ask you for your vote. I humbly do so, and I pray God's blessings on you. Thank you.
We rocking with the APB. We voting the APB with Bishop Joseph Atherley. We voting for APB. Yes, we believe, so we unite. Together hand in hand, we stand up, yes, to fight corruption that's so denied every agent from their fair and equal right. Integrity, our philosophy. Good governance is what we've got to give. We say no more big bad wolf parties. It's time for change, so vote the APB. We rocking with the APB. We voting the APB with Bishop Joseph Atherley. We voting for APB.
Good night, good night, good night. Wow, that was simply beautiful, beautiful, beautiful presentation, beautifully edited. As someone in film, I have to say that that was really well done, very interesting. And throughout the night, we're going to be showcasing some more of the candidates. Yes, very well done. Marcia Jenkins is saying very well presented. And I mean, you know what? Listen, Reverend Joseph Atherley just sounds so good. Somebody said, yes, my prime minister. And we want Barbados to know that the third parties, any of them can produce prime ministers. What do you all think? Andrea Critchlow is saying, divine greetings, family. Yeah, Marcia Jenkins, I have to say, as a filmmaker, this presentation tonight was so very well done, very well put together. And, you know, this is part of what Lynette Eastman is talking about, the creative industries in Barbados. Because we have such talented people. There are people like myself in the film industry. And someone like Lynette Eastman would have worked with the film industry to, to try to bring us to the place where we're at. You know, any significant changes we have seen in the film industry truthfully came out of Lynette Eastman's, involvement in trying to put us together, to put the association together. She worked hard pulling us from all directions, pulling us together. And to see tonight somebody like Mario, I don't know if I'm calling his name correctly, as such a great editor, the production team led by Sean Carter that put this beautiful presentation together. The lighting was on point. Sorry, I've gone into technical stuff because it was just so wonderful. And as somebody said, my PM, listen, this is a third party. You saw how PM like Reverend Joseph Atherley looks and sounds. I think that is beautiful. And, last night we had Solutions Barbados on. Tomorrow we're going to have BFP on, etc. on. And, it's just beautiful to listen to them. Let's listen to our Reverend Joseph Atherley, our prospective, one of the, from APP is, saying this is the PM of Barbados. Let us hear from him again. Go ahead. Let's play some of Joseph Atherley again. we're not getting the audio on that video, and we're gonna go and come and wheel and come again. But let me tell you something that was really, really awesome. At 7 o'clock, I'm going to show this again, but I want to hear from you guys. Jean Chase is saying, Celie, listen, don't go, don't go, don't let the numbers drop. In fact, one of the things that you can do for us, for all third parties, this is what I do. If I see anything on Facebook from any third party, I share it. I share it to my story. I share it to all of my pages, and that's what I do. And I'm dedicating my time free of cost. Every evening, I find a time from 7 o'clock to be promoting third parties. So I want you to do me a favor this evening. I want you to share this live. Share this live. This is beyond us, guys. And because we want change. As you listen to the people on the street, they want change. I listened to a man today. He said, things are so bad. They keep tricking us. But what we're going to do? What we're going to do? They feel like the only choice that they have is to use, is these same two parties, right? And we want to be able to tell them, you know what? You have some options now. Do you have what are your thoughts on what you've heard? No, we were just talking about how well the presentation was, how very well put together technically the presentation was. And someone on here is talking about the substance that was in the presentation. What are your thoughts? Has anything resonated with you? Let's have the discussion tonight. John Watson is saying, can the link for the meeting be posted? Well, it's on my page. John, let's clarify what you mean, please, by that, because this link you can share, and we're going to share this again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to share Lynette's presentation, and then let's talk about that. And we're going to share Reverend Atherley, and let's talk about that as well. I'm not sure if it is that we have a video to share. We can go ahead and do that at this moment. But yeah, but this is really, really awesome. Please share. Don't leave, guys. Don't leave. Let's share this. Yeah, so we seem to be having not hearing. We're still not hearing. Still not hearing. Still not getting any audio from that particular one. Nothing to do with that beautiful presentation that we just saw earlier. This is just our internal issues that we're having here. But yes, Pammy, we recognize that there's no audio on that one. But Pammy, what are your thoughts about what you've heard tonight? Did you get to hear all of it, Pammy? Pammy Paris? Good night, Denise. Good night, Denise. Denise Nichols, good night. Did you get to hear hear Lynette Eastman and get to see the candidates, and then get to hear Reverend Joseph Atherley? Veronica Evelyn is saying, "Is a fresh wind is blowing, well able to breathe new life into this nation." Let me just feature this. She says, if we vote with sound minds, thank God for the men and women who have offered themselves to restore health to our ailing country. Correct. And some of the issues and some of the solutions that they are offering, they are talking about the Reverend Joseph Atherley is speaking about a culture of democracy. And isn't this something that we so need, guys? A culture of democracy happening in Barbados. How many of you heard our Prime Minister saying that there is no need for even an opposition? That there is no need for an opposition. Did we hear that? Anybody heard that? And here Reverend Joseph Atherley is saying, someone who stepped up, volunteered contrary to the narrative that has been presented, that he was asked by the Prime Minister to become the leader of the opposition. That is not the truth. That is the narrative that they would want us to believe. But that's not what happened. Reverend Joseph Atherley decided listening to God, decided that there has to be democracy in Barbados, and I will cross the floor and become the leader of opposition. That is exactly why he did it. And so it is it wouldn't be strange for him tonight to be talking about a culture of democracy. That's what he was talking about. He talked a lot about people's participation. And I want to hear your thoughts about that. Yeah? He talked about people's participation. He says power lies in the hands of the people. Isn't that great to hear that? Yeah, Marcia Jenkins is asking, no opposition. I heard it reported, not firsthand, but definitely needed. But I heard that with my own ears, Marcia Jenkins. That's not something that is made up. And that is what our current PM is saying. And, you know, we thank her for what she has done for Barbados. But we're saying there has to be a culture of democracy in this island, in Barbados. And that is what the Alliance Party for Progress is offering Barbados at this time. It's talking about the preservation of values. Correct, Wayne Hoyt. Wayne Hoyt is saying, we the people. Guys, it's not a monologue. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. I know some people just came on, and I'm going to play this again. And I want us as, you know, well-meaning Barbadians to get a pen and paper. I was doing it as I was listening, and write it down and go through. I want to say to you, go through whatever it is that you're hearing on social media from these parties. Write it down and discuss it in your families and with your friends and see, is that what I want for Barbados? Is that what I want for Barbados? Let us not be fooled by the hype and, you know, all of the lights and the pretty colors and the posters and the music. It's not carnival. It's not Kadooment. This is not Kadooment, guys. We're not going to be drinking this Kool-Aid or drinking this liquor that we are being given. And then we get into a frenzy and a stupor and go into the voting booth and put ourselves back under a curse. Why would we do that? This is a time, Barbados, for us to, be sober. We need sobriety at this time, guys. Sobriety is very much needed at this time. So I'm going to ask us, we're going to watch it again. Let me hear Joaquin Boaz. Welcome. Joaquin is saying it is true. The people hold the power to make the change they need. Barbados. You hold the power to make the change that you need. You hold the power. God has given you that power to make the change that you need. Do not follow the hype. Do you see how calm, that message was delivered? All throughout this week, all the third parties that come on here, Solutions Barbados, the Bajan Free Party, all of them calm and cool, making their presentations. No screaming out, no loud. There's don't need to be loud. We've had enough of that. Okay, this is not a carnival. This is not Kadooment. We need some sobriety, right? How well delivered, calmly and sincerely, and that is what we need, right? Yeah, Wayne Hoyt is saying, no pretty speak can't win me over. If you can't explain your policies. Nobody's in any pretty speech, right? And we know our current Prime Minister, she is an amazing orator. But is that enough? We are looking for that substance. We're looking for a culture of democracy. We're looking for people's participation. That's what Barbadians want. All across Barbados, that's what they want, right? Bishop Atherley says the power lies in the hands of the people. Now, that sounds to me like a prime minister right there. He talks about the preserving of values, the reliance on God. So you and I know that charter, all of that is going to be reversed. Reverend Atherley was the lone voice in Parliament. anointed by God to stand up in Parliament and to refute the charter, right? The lone voice in Parliament, yes? So, guys, this is important. So I'm going to ask you to share the light. This is Makitha Alman. Welcome. Makitha is saying not just change, but we need a spiritual change. And this is why he's talking about the reliance on God. I know this is what Barbados wants. This is what Barbados wants. Empty vessels makes the most noise. And this is why, and Janelle is saying amen. And this is why all of this cadouement is happening all over Barbados in the middle of a pandemic. In the middle of a pandemic, there is cadouement happening all over. It's like a carnival that's happening, and we are, all these colors all over the place and the money that is shared out. Let me tell you one thing I want to tell you, guys, is that these third parties, including APP, they're very innovative, creative. And you know why? There's not much. They don't have a lot of financing. They don't have all these millions of dollars to just be throwing away and giving to people. They don't have that. A lot of these candidates can barely find their posters. Let me be real with you. So they're not trying to gloss anything over your eyes. They're not trying to drag you to tell you, oh, look at I passed somewhere in St. Joseph today and an entire wall, the wall I'm sure could be about 12 feet wide or more, and it was filled with posters. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And we don't have that. That's it. We really need sobriety. We need sobriety at this time. Very, very important that we sit down and we discuss among ourselves what are the concerns that we have in Barbados at this time, right? And what are the parties saying? Not the kind of music that they have, that I like that music and I like that color, or this is what my grandfather, that's the party my grandfather and grandmother, they voted for, and therefore this is what we do, and we're voting based on heredity. This is what we do. But we need sobriety. Let's cut out. This is not cadouement. This is not cadoument. This is not it. Yeah, you're not going to come and put down two bottles of liquor as you're doing in some of the constituencies. Would you believe that? Look at what our young men, what they have to deal with, and you have people who are going into the constituency, candidates from some of these parties going into the constituencies and leaving bottles of rum and giving them some Banks beer, etc., for them to get into a stupor. We need sobriety in this country at this time, right? That's what we need. We need our Barbadians to think. Come on, Barbados. The Prime Minister says, you know what? Barbadians are balanced and they're fair. But, where is the but? But Barbadians are saying they want an opposition. And I know she's saying that it's because Barbadians are balanced and fair. But do you really need an opposition? So what are you telling me? You are not balanced and you're not fair. If Barbadians are trained to be balanced and fair people, and they're saying, this is my country, I'm patriotic to my country, I am Bajan to the bone, right? And I want to see an opposition in the government, in Parliament, and you are going to tell them, I know you're balanced and fair, but. So what does that say? What does that say? And that is why the APP is offering a culture of democracy. APP is saying that there will be people's participation. People will participate in this government. Do you all remember the referendum for the Republic? Do you remember that? Do you remember the referendum about gay marriage and same-sex union? Do you remember that? Do you remember all that we have been promised that it will be brought to the people and it was not done? Do we remember that? APP is saying people's participation, very important. The preserving of values. Have you gone through that charter? Many of you are deciding, oh, you know, I'm going to stay the course. Stay the course of what? We're going to stay the course. Did you read the charter? Did you see the breakdown of the charter that was done by Veronica Evelyn and the lawyers who came on to one of our programs to explain to you the code words that are in the charter? To understand what is happening is that we are basically signing on to, you know, when they talk about discrimination, exactly what they mean by that discrimination, and we're signing on to this whole same-sex union, and we're signing on to basically that's what is happening. We're signing our lives away to all of these kinds of alternative lifestyles. Do we understand that? That is what's happening in the charter. And so when you hear people talk about, well, we could just stay and nobody else is there to run the country. Did you see how calm and collective this man was tonight? Did you see the kind of, even as he was in opposition, Caswell Franklin? That is some kind of the kind of planning and thought that went in there to have Caswell Franklin as an opposing senator. Isn't that awesome? What would have happened to the nurses? What would have happened to the soul of Barbados? These third parties are fighting for the soul of the nation. And what is the soul of the nation? They're fighting for the families. They're fighting for family life. That's what they're fighting for. And that is what the APP is about. And as far as I have been interviewing people from the various third parties, and that's what it's about. Yes. Yeah. And listen, Wayne Hoyt is saying we have to listen to the subliminal messages in the speeches. When announcing the elections, the PM said to elect your next government and leader. We do not elect a leader in this country. So listen for the embedded messages. Wayne, you are so correct. And this is a kind of sobriety that is needed. This is a kind of sobriety that is needed. We've got to stop and think. Think. Get off of this carnival right now. Get off the carnival. Get out of the cadooment. Right? We know what happened on a cadooment day. We don't nobody thinking straight. And that's what they want to get us in entertainment. Trust me, by the week end out, you're going to see all of the entertainers coming out on the stage. And they're going to have us singing and dancing. And we forget about the charter. We forget about family values. We forget about democracy. Very important, right? And I know people are just coming on and some have not had the chance. And in 7 minutes, I am going to play do a repeat of these speeches. Denise Nichols is saying, I declare every mind-blinding spirit be removed and that there be full transparency. Proverbs 29:12, let our God rule and let his kingdom come. And I am saying to every well-meaning Barbadian, come off of this cadooment truck right now. Get off this cadooment truck. And anytime you see the stuff on the third party share, they do not have the millions to spend. We are in a David and Goliath situation here. Whose side are you on? Why would we support Goliath? We're in a David and Goliath situation. They don't have the funding. They're pulling their own pockets. Many of them are business people, have gone through COVID. And because of the love they have for their country, because of the great love that they have for the country. They are deciding that they're going to, they're going to serve their country. How patriotic in this time. So why not support them? We're going to, yes, Marcia, we're going to repeat it. But if I repeat it, guys, I want you to be putting comments in the chat about what you're hearing. So we watched it first, and we were so blown away by as a filmmaker, I was blown away by the technical quality of this production, and it's towards the end I started to take notes, to be honest. So now I'm going to watch it again, and we're going to listen. And as you hear something that rings true to you, I want you to put it in the chat. Okay, I want you to put it in the chat. Write it down. Sometimes it's good to write it down, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's good to write it down. Marcia Jenkins said repeat it, and we're going to repeat it in 5 minutes. But will you share? Will you share, please? Everybody who is on, we've got to help them. I'm on here free of cost. Nobody is paying me a cent. I'm not connected to anybody. I'm not in anybody's pocket. You understand? And anybody who know Marcia Weeks will understand that I'm not in anybody's pocket. I do what I feel God tell me to do. And he gave me this name, Election Express, and tell me to come on 7 o'clock every night and promote alternative choices. And that's what I am doing. That's what I'm doing. So, don't you ever think anybody's paying. I'm not, APP isn't paying me. Bajan Free Party, Alex Mitchell don't pay me. Yeah. So I need you to share this, guys. So this is volunteer stuff. Volunteer. People are volunteering. People are putting their money there. And the least you can do is to share. So I'm going to play this again, but promise to share. Right? Amaral, there are prayer teams that are going. I know there was a 24-hour prayer that's going. People love Barbados. And they love Barbados, Amaral, because God loves Barbados. God is interested in Barbados. God loves this country, guys. And he has a plan for Barbados. There's so many prophecies that have come out that this will be a lighthouse to the world. Yeah. And you think that God is going to sit by and allow the very fabric of this society to be destroyed? Do you think that God is going to sit by and allow the soul of this country to be shredded in pieces? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. God is fighting for the soul of Barbados. God loves Barbados, and you love Barbados too. So you're going to share this live for me, please. At 7, exactly at 7, I am going to repeat, but I want you to share. Promise me, are you going to share? Oh, who is going to share? Who is going to share? Share, guys. As I said, I'm repeating because people are joining. The third parties, they do not even have an eighth of what a lot of these other parties have. They don't have it. A lot of them are first timers. A lot of them are on. Thank you, Pammy Promise says she shared. Very good. Ameka is sharing. Guys, we've got to do it. Listen, this is a David and Goliath. And I want to say to us, when the dust is settled, which side? What will we tell our children? Whose side are we on? Whose side are we on when the dust is settled? We've seen the corruption that has occurred in other parties. We've seen it. We've seen that this prime minister they couldn't even get this government. This last government couldn't even get the corruption bill passed. Why? 29. They had 29 of them there, and it couldn't pass. Because why? It is my suggestion that they didn't want it to be passed. It couldn't be passed because then people would not be rich. Do you remember the vaccine scandal? Somehow what they say is that Barbados is like a 9-day memory, that people forget the things. You remember that song where Gabby sing, they tell me to forget? I am forgetting. The vaccine scandal, all of that's corruption, and we don't hear much about it anymore. It's corruption, right? All of these things that has occurred in this country, and we must forget? No, No, we are better than that, Barbadians. We Bajans, we are better than that. We are better than that. Yes? So we are getting ready, and you're sharing. You are sharing, and I am getting ready to start this up, to play again. We're playing this again, and while it is going on, I want you to be making notes. Listen, and what you don't know, you ask the questions in there. And I know some of the candidates are watching, and we can send the questions. Ask them the hard questions, guys. Ask APP the hard questions. We're educated voters. Things are changing in Barbados. We're jumping off the Kadooment bus tonight, in Jesus' name. All right, let's get ready.
We rocking with the APP. We voting the APP. With Bishop Joseph Atherley. We voting for APP.
Introducing the APP candidate for St. Philip West, Lynette Eastman.
Friends, family, Barbadians, fellow constituents of St. Philip West. I am here today representing the Alliance Party for Progress. And one of the first matters that I would like to discuss with you is the importance of ensuring that we vote. We must never take that right for granted. It was fought for over many years. And now that we have that right and that privilege, we should not take it for granted. And it is for this reason that I'm asking you, all of you out there, to come out in your numbers. You have a choice in this election. Every election is important, and this one is just as important as any other election. I personally trust Barbadians to always make the right choice. On this occasion, we need to put right what we did in 2018. In 2018, we became so disgusted that we felt that we had to put an end to that government. At this point in time, we need to ensure that in Parliament, we have representatives of not just the traditional parties, but the newer parties that have emerged, such as the Alliance. The Alliance consists of many individuals. Some of them have spent a long time in politics. Some of them are new to the political arena. And it is that mix that we are bringing to you that we believe will be beneficial to the country in an overwhelming way. We have amongst us economists, lawyers. We have persons gifted in information technology and trained in that area. We have health and wellness experts. So ladies and gentlemen, there's no need to worry. I myself have been a member of the Owen Arthur cabinet, along with my colleague, Bishop Atherley. This gave us an opportunity to see how a government should be run properly and how a cabinet should function. And the emphasis here is on consultation. The emphasis is on hearing every view. I often recall being in cabinet and recognizing that the chair of the cabinet ensured that we went around the table so that every single voice could be heard. Not only the ones that were the experts. If it were a matter of food prices, it wasn't just those who had been trained in economics, but those who understood the impact that high prices would have on families. And that now seems to be missing in Barbados. We're not having the consultation that we should have in making these very, very important issues for Barbados. The Alliance will bring us back to that position where we consult amongst ourselves, but also consult with stakeholders as well as the wider public. Because of our inability, or should I say the government's past inability to deal with corruption, we now face the prospect that only a small clique of individuals will actually see wealth in Barbados. So we're creating a superclass of wealthy people, and it seems to me an underclass. Barbadians cannot allow this to happen. This is happening because opportunities are being hidden from Barbadians. They're not being allowed to take advantage of the opportunities that come up from day to day. Because corruption is not simply about stealing money. In my view, corruption is also about preventing our people from accessing the opportunities that countries like Barbados can develop. When I think about the areas that have been developed in Barbados, I think to myself that we're losing a great opportunity to really focus on the creative, cultural, and technology industries. I don't say this lightly, and to be honest, I struggle sometimes to be able to convince individuals that this is a real industry that we're talking about. Many individuals don't realize it, even though they turn their television on every day to watch the international networks who are being paid for sending those programs to us here in Barbados. So they send them out to the entire world. There's nothing stopping Barbados from doing the same. There's so many different individuals out there with so many different tastes that we can develop programs and products that can be sold to the entire world. We're only about 300,000 people, and there are millions of people to sell to. If we were elected to office, we would invest in the creative, cultural, and technology industries. Why do I think that this should be an easy sell? We already have people in these industries. It isn't like the medicinal marijuana industry that we know nothing about. And this is growing marijuana for medicinal purposes to selling to a particular market with various standards. We already have individuals in Barbados who are good at music. And we always say how much talent we have. Music, film, fashion. There are individuals who have already sold their work abroad. There are individuals who have had their film screened from the United States to Canada to the UK to Africa. We have had songs that have made it big in the region and throughout the world. Why is it that no government would invest in an industry? And let me say that an industry is not every independence picking a few people to perform. That's not an industry. An industry is not about calling up a filmmaker and suggesting to them that you can put their film in a slot on television, and quite often for free. That's not an industry. An industry requires structure. We did this already when we built the international business sector. Everybody understood that it had to be structured. There was legislation, specific legislation that was put in place to support it. There was money put to promote it. Individuals were trained. Government invested in promotion and marketing, engaged specific areas within the civil service to make sure that those particular departments supported the export of our international business sector. This is what is required for cultural industries. There are already Barbadians quietly who are working for software development companies. They're here in Barbados and the companies are abroad. So we have the talent here. There are individuals here who are being headhunted by companies abroad to do work. So what would happen if our government took 1% of what is now allocated to tourism to start these industries? We would see a massive difference. A massive difference because the individuals who engage in these industries come from every sector in Barbados, come from every demographic, come from every social background. What would happen if we were able to empower those people through the creative industries, through culture and through technology? It would make a vast difference. For the people of St. Philip West, and I know in that constituency, there are a number of individuals who would be interested in seeing that we build out that part of the economy. And I'm asking you to send me to Parliament so that I can assist in that development. But I also know that a lot of this starts from at the community level. And at the community level, there are a lot of issues that we have. There's a concern about young people. Yes, there is. And there is a need for a specific intervention. Within St. Philip West, we would ensure that you see that troubled period that young people have where they're transitioning from childhood into adulthood, that needs to be addressed not by hoping that they will make it, but by developing a specific program to help them to transition with so many of the issues that they have to face. Their body is changing, their mind is changing. As soon as they turn 18, people say to them that you're an adult. When at 17, you were still a child. So magically, you become an adult at 18. You're treated as an adult by the justice system. You're expected to vote, you're expected to take on responsibilities. Should we not have been teaching them about this from the time they were at least teenagers? Or maybe even when after they've done the 11 plus at 12? It actually makes no sense. And in other cultures, they do have a system for transition, but we have lost ours, so we have to create a new one. We have people in the constituency that are concerned about their businesses. They need to develop their business. They need advice. They need to focus on marketing. They need help with their business plans when they're seeking funding, whether it's from the private sector or whether it's from government. And then we have our retirees and we have our elderly in the society. Because you've retired doesn't mean that you've suddenly lost all of your skills. Our retirees in the community need to be engaged as well. And as far as I can see, they're the ones who would be able to help us with business development and that transition which young people have to make from childhood to adulthood. There are many issues within the constituency of St. Philip West. When I look around, I know that the constituency has been neglected by those that you have put your confidence in before. I'm asking you to give me this opportunity. On January 19th, I'm asking you to come out in St. Philip West and choose me, Lynette Eastman, as your representative in the House of Parliament. Thank you.
We rockin' with the APB. We voting the APB. With Bishop Joseph
Everton Peru Holligan, APP candidate for St. George South.
So we unite.
Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, APP candidate for St. George North.
Sunday night. Every agent from there and equal.
Paula Bradshaw, APP candidate for St. Joseph.
Good governance is what we've got to give. We say no more.
Wayne T. Griffith, APP candidate for St. Lucie.
We rockin' with the APB.
Philippe Amy, APP candidate for St. John. Lynette Eastman, APP candidate for St. Philip West. Nigel Newton, APP candidate for St. Philip North. Bruce Hennis, APP candidate for St. Philip South. Dr. Belfield Belgrave, APP candidate for Christchurch West Central. Sean Shooter, APP candidate for Christchurch East Central. Victor Knight, APP candidate for Christchurch East.
Bishop Joseph Adderley, APP candidate for St. Michael Central.
Veronica Price, APP candidate for St. Michael West Central. Erskine Branch, APP candidate for St. Michael East. Patsy Nurse, APP candidate of St. Michael West. Irvin Belgrave, APP candidate of St. Michael South.
Marva Lashley Todd, APP candidate for the City of Bridgetown. David Gill, APP candidate for St. Michael South Central. Patrick Tanis, APP candidate for St. Michael South East. Maria Phillips, APP candidate for St. Michael North. Introducing the APP candidate for St. Michael Central, Bishop Joseph Adderley.
Barbadians and constituents of St. Michael's Central, particularly pleased to have the opportunity to say a few words with you today. And thank you for letting me into your homes and for giving me an ear. You know, the honor and high sense of responsibility of standing in the gap for Barbados over the last 3.5 years in the defense of its democracy has been mine as leader of the opposition. My thanks especially though to Senator Franklin and Senator Drakes for helping me to lead the fight in preserving that democracy beyond purely the institutional level. I'm especially pleased today to be a part of a team of men and women under the banner of the Alliance Party for Progress, the APP, a group of highly capable persons of great academic and professional distinction, persons of good moral fiber, and exceptionally important integrity. The Alliance is birthed out of the very compatible philosophies, if you prefer, ideologies of the United Progressive Party and the People's Party for Democracy and Development. That philosophy gives birth to and is guided by a sense of duty to a sovereign God, a God from whom we derive a sense of duty to our fellow men, and also a sense of value as we interact with men in our society in various contexts. But what is the Alliance Party for Progress? What do we represent? What do we stand for? And I will take the opportunity today just perhaps to share briefly and with reference to 10 important points of philosophy, of policy posture, of intended programming, all in an effort to ensure that we pursue together on your behalf the interests of all Barbadians. 1, we stand for and intend to implement policies which will give way to people-centered initiatives which bring meaningful benefits. In other words, policy that starts from the bosom of the people and from which benefits for the people are derived. People must matter and do matter more than anything else. Secondly, a governance model that works. That is, it has integrity in its operations, its capacity in terms of its ability to deliver, and it carries transparency with reference to the high levels of accountability that will be inbuilt. 3, a growth model that results in shared prosperity for all and not the skewed kind of development that we now endure, which convey benefits only to a privileged few. A system that allows for obvious and fair access to treatment and redress in matters of legal, social, and economic justice. A commitment to the building of sound platforms for the provision of education, housing, and other social welfare services. 6, a significant role for the state and its involvement in enterprise, while at the same time, and more importantly so, facilitating investment, private sector-led growth, and the development of labor, all in the context of a sound social partnership which is uncompromised and unfettered. 7, the elimination of corruption, and it has to be eliminated. We are at a stage now where corruption is so rife in Barbados that a clear objective must be elimination, not simply reduction, not simply curbing, but elimination of corruption in Barbados. We do this through potent legislation enacted and executed or implemented, fair remuneration and appropriate mechanisms for accountability in the context of clear transparency. The expansion of ownership opportunity in Barbados, both with respect to land, business, and capital. It cannot be that in 2022, after all of the investment which sacrificially this country has made in areas of education and other very important areas of socio-economic development and our political development as well, it cannot be that in 2022, after all of this investment, that the majority of Barbadians still remain landless and otherwise dispossessed. The Alliance Party for Progress will change that. We are here to stop poor people from being poor. Land access, the matter of land taxes, must be subjects of priority address for a new Alliance Party for Progress government. Capital access, which continues to deny to poor aspiring business men and women in Barbados the opportunity to build thriving business, while all they can do is stand and watch while those who are already abundant in wealth are further blessed by the generosity of a government's hand. Business development through enterprise must be a priority for us. When I was but a boy growing up in Station Hill, and that is in St. Michael's Central for those of you across Barbados who may not know, my mother always drilled in my head, Junior, go to school and learn well. Don't want to see you end up picking pond grass on Waterford Plantation, which was not far from where I grew up. And I've, ever since then, and especially in my young adult life and with my university training, developed a perspective on this thing which I think is pertinent for Barbados today. And it is this: if we look at the development of our social architecture or economic profile, even our model of governance in Barbados, what we find is simply this: that once we were slaves in their fields, then we moved beyond that and we became servants in their houses or their homes. And then we graduated, and it would seem as though there's a sense of satisfaction of having attained this level. We become stewards in their offices and their businesses. So we are accountants and we are managers and we control the technology systems. We are but stewards in their offices and companies. The philosophy of the Alliance Party for Progress is this: we must move beyond being stewards and become owners in Barbados. So the pursuit of mass-based ownership in Barbados is a premium objective for this party, which I have the honor to lead, and that's a commitment we make to you. Number 9, the building out of a democracy in which power in real and actual terms is resided in the hands of the people. It resides with the people. That is what republic means. Real power is reposed in the hands of the people. Democracy also implies that. We in Barbados have now become accustomed and seemingly sometimes contented with a situation where power comes to the people once every 5 years. In this instance, for whatever unknown reason, it has come in the middle of a pandemic, 3.5 years early. The people have had no say and will be exposed to possible infection through spread of the Omicron virus, admittedly by the officials, among us. But we promise you a model of governance, a culture of democracy, the outworkings of institutions which will clearly demonstrate that power resides in the hands of the people, not once every 5 years, but every day. And we will be a party where people's participation and the further inclusiveness of the people of this country will be reflected in how we are governed, how we govern ourselves, and how we remain accountable to each other as we chase our national dreams. So it's a building of a democracy in which power, in real and actual terms, lies in the hands of the people. The fashioning of institutions respected highly, functional very efficiently, and serving the interests of Barbados in the region and beyond. A nation-building exercise that does not jettison our values. It does not dismantle our foundational institutions. It does not denude our communities of their richness, and it certainly does not deny our nations, our people's reliance on a God who is sovereign and supreme, and who has expressed himself in bountiful blessings upon this country for the past several hundred years. So I ask you, when you go to the polls on January 19th, all across Barbados, to consider the candidates, the men and women, men who are exceptional achievers in the areas of academic training, professional responsibility, and some who are very active in their communities and who are well connected with the people. We have a rich blend of talent, some experience, as Lynette would have shared, some youthful exuberance and enthusiasm, which is always good. But all of us possess of a sense of unified vision for the betterment of Barbados. A government must become an instrument that brings about meaningful change. And several of the policies to which I just made reference may fall into the realm of things we have heard before. Some of them do, for sure. We will always admit that. There's hardly anything which is totally new. But you know this? What matters or what makes the difference is the implementation. And if the implementation leads to radical and revolutionary change, then we are serving a purpose as a government. We lay the charge against this government that though they have managed certain things well, they have not brought about significant revolutionary change in the lives of the people of Barbados, either at the level of the poor working class of Barbados, the many unemployed all across this country, or even a private sector battling the ravages and salts of the winds of COVID and other pressures coming from abroad. The Alliance Party for Progress makes a commitment that when you elect us to government, we will pursue policies which in their intention and in their actualization will bring about radical and revolutionary change. We are here to stop poor people from being poor. We are here to engage ourselves with the people in a wholesome exercise of nation building. That's what we're committed to. So I ask you again, all across this country, on January 19th, to vote for the candidates of the Alliance Party for Progress. I ask you humbly to vote for myself in St. Michael's Central. Many of you knew that I grew up in that constituency, spent first 30 years or so of my life, all my adult formation stems from my experiences in St. Michael Central. Some of you may know as well, I pastor a church, senior minister of the church, which is located in St. Michael Central. And I've served the communities of St. Michael Central for the past over 30 years. I've done that selflessly. I've done it sacrificially. I've done it out of a sense of calling, a sense of duty to God, and a strong desire to help my fellow men and women and my friends and associates, and many with whom I grew up in Station Hill. The Lord has helped me to be an instrument of blessing to many. I've led the church in programs of ministry that offer social welfare and financial assistance to families and households which are stressed long before COVID. That has only been intensified since COVID. Every service of the church, whether it be funerals in times of bereavement and sadness, whether it be weddings or baby christenings in times of gladness and bliss, I've offered the services of church all without charge, because I'm here under a sense of calling from God to serve the people of this land, and through the instrumentality of that church in Station Hill, to serve the surrounding communities of Bush Hall and Waterford and Bank Hall and Water Hall land and Station Hill and Dean's Village and Flint Hall. That is what Joseph Atherley has committed his life to through the ministry of the church these past over 3 decades, without pay, without asking for any returns, because I seek to serve you. And I bring that same attitude to this moment of election on January 19th. You know me and I know you. I ask you for your vote. I humbly do so, and I pray God's blessings on you. Thank you.
We rocking with the APB. We voting the APB. With Bishop Joseph Atherley. We voting for APB. Yes, we believe, so we unite. Together hand in hand we stand up, yes, to fight corruption that so denies every agent from their fair and equal right. Integrity, our philosophy. Good governance is what we've got to give. We say no more big bad wolf parties. It's time for change, so vote the APP. We rocking with the APP. We voting the APP. With Bishop Joseph Atherley. We voting for APP.
Oh my goodness, I got so caught up in the whole thing that I totally miss my cue there. This has been listening to it again. You need to see my book. So just notes, all in there. That's all in there. And Denise, what Denise is saying, I love this. It's so much I can't put it on the screen. I'm still going to put it on the screen. She says, why app? What is the main message so as to engage electorate to vote app? People-centered, benefit the people, a government model that works with integrity and transparency. Correct, Denise, I got all of that. Shared prosperity, legal, social, and economic justice, elimination of corruption, potent legislation, fair remunerations, inclusivity, serving the interests of Barbados, a reliance on a supreme God, talented, gifted team. And on that, Lynette Eastman, who has a lot of experience in cabinet, and she talked about that in the APP team they have economists, lawyers, health and wellness experts. They have entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs, and that's very, very important, very important. And as I said, a lot of them, they're so innovative, working on a shoestring budget, working at no budget, I'm telling you, and still connecting with people, going into the communities. And they don't have $3,000 to give to people, but a lot of them are praying for people. A lot of them are blessing people, are listening, just sitting on the step and talking to people. Sometimes that is all people need, to be able to sit down, talk with them, and hear what it is that they need. So let me hear some of you guys. What are you hearing? What are you hearing? Okay, so Sophia Lowe says, how will the app address the fiscal policy adjustments recommended within the IMF Article 4 report and a possible need for an extended program? Yeah. Anybody from APP, if you're watching, I know some of the candidates are watching. Can you answer that question? I'm not a candidate, but the questions need to come, and I know candidates are watching that they can answer that. Oh, wow. Dave Myers, do we agree with Dave Myers? Dave Myers is saying this alliance is likely to disrupt the outcome by splitting the vote. What is the outcome that you're looking for, Dave Myers? Their motives are questionable. Okay, the bishop has a credibility issue. There's an overdose and overuse of God in these politician narratives. Really? Very interesting. I didn't hear that. In reality, the two can't contend for the same space. All parties are claiming to stop poor people from being poor. Frankly, there will be still poor people in 50 years. Government can only do so much. Okay, so anybody and what are your thoughts about what Dave Myers is saying? Dave Myers is saying that this is going to disrupt the outcome. And what is the outcome you're looking for, Dave Myers? Let's hear that. Yeah. Sophia Lowe still has this question to be answered. And if the APP candidates who are here and are able to answer it, and if we don't get the answer, I'm telling you, Sophia, I'm going to go find the answer for you sometime this week, because I want to hear the answers as well. Very good, Sophia. Yeah. Okay, anybody else? What are your thoughts? I heard from Denise. Denise has Denise is saying the above is what I gleaned. Well said and believable. Correct. And I really, I've seen Reverend Atherley, make presentations, and what comes across is just the genuineness and the pureness of his heart that you see coming through. And I can't forget watching him in Parliament and just being, goosebumps as he refuted that charter. And I think that this is so important. And for a lot of people who have read the charter, there are people who are talking about the charter and they have not read it. But for a lot of people who've read the charter, they are very, very grateful. Those from the Rastafari faith, the Muslim faith, I know from all the different faiths in Barbados were very, very appreciative of Reverend Atherley standing up and being bold in Parliament. And what's so great is that he was in the right place at the right time. The right place at the right time. And I'm so happy that he crossed the floor to become the leader of the opposition. I think that was so important. Is there any other comments? I asked you to take notes. What are the notes you took? What did you glean from what he was saying? What did you glean from what he was saying? Anybody? Or what were the notes that we took? Listen, guys, we're not into the shouting, and we're not into the name calling. We're not into putting down anybody, on this program. What we're here to do, what are we here to do? We are here to listen. We're listening to our third parties. We're asking them questions. And this is what we're to do for all of the parties, actually. We need to be able to listen to them, to ask them questions, so we know exactly what is going on. I think we are going to have some videos. My technical team is putting some videos together that we want to continue to play, and you're going to hear some more of Reverend Atherley. We don't get to hear them a lot in the press, so we're going to hear a lot more of them, I need to put back Denise's, summary of what she's heard here, and just waiting on others. And let's just hear from the others. Yeah. The thing here is, guys, Steve Moore is saying the outcome is app winning. 55 years of mad people doing the same thing, expecting the different results, right? Voting B, then you vote D, then you vote B, then you vote D, and it keeps going like that. And you know the funny thing about it, Steve, I've heard of people who said to me, I had planned to vote for a third party, but then I went into the booth and I just voted what I normally voted. And that is what happens. But this time around, I'm saying to people, that's why I say to you, write it down, listen to them carefully. Write it down. Don't be caught up in the music and the entertainment and the packaging that they're giving you the thing in. You know what? Somebody could package poison and give it to you. You know, they present it so lovely to you and you decide that you're going to drink it or you're going to eat it. Yeah. Okay, so it's so important. But I'm seeing here we have Rock Hall. We have something is happening in Rock Hall, and that is coming up. Yeah, so that's Princess Stella. You're saying that you love me very much and follow your show, but I have to tell you, not everyone is as sincere as you are. I'm aware of that. And that you're saying that you're going to be off the show until after politics. That's fine. I love you too, Princess Stella. We can differ and still love one another, you know. Yeah, don't make Miss Motley talk about there's no unity in this country. Stella, you know I love you dearly, my darling. Yeah, I know you. I know what you're rooting for, and that's all right. I love people over there too. But I'm choosing Princess Stella to talk about third parties, whether it's Bajan Free Party, whether it is Solutions Barbados Sovereignty Party, the party with, and I need to get it right tonight, with that coalition that's there with Apostle Canterbury, all of them. I support them all. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Rock Hall and let's see what is happening on live there in Rock Hall at this time. Let me see if I can catch some of this. Let's hear it.
Because when the youth play together, the community spirit exists and they stay together. But when they don't play together, obviously they fight against each other, and that's where the violence begins. To curb the violence, we must focus on the youth and keeping the youth together. So, to keep Barbados clean and to make Barbados proud again, we must return Lynette Eastman. We must vote Lynette Eastman and the APP. With Lynette Eastman and the APP, we can ensure a better, a brighter future for not just this constituency, but the wider community of this country, Barbados.
Okay, so that's the APP live in Rock Hall, and I'm hoping that we'll get to hear from Miss Lynette Eastman at this time. She's coming to us live from Rock Hall, hoping that we're going to be able to see her come out there. And in the meantime, guys, share, and we're going to support them. Denise Tate is saying, what's Denise Tate saying? If any app candidate,
today I'm here to let you know that after Mr. Night,
there is something happening there.
Talking about your mom.
Okay, so we're gonna wait until Miss Eastman comes up. He's saying if any app candidate wins seats and one of the season parties asks a candidate to join, would they cross the floor? I would love an answer. These politicians or people are full of surprises. I don't trust them. So Dennis State is asking this question. Okay, and that's one of the questions, yes, and that's a good question to ask. Yeah, and Dave Myers is asking APP to share their first 100-day play. You know, I mean, politicians, again, do this all the time. As you said, they're poor. We have with us all the time, Dave Myers, and you're correct. But politicians always do the 100-day play. But that's okay. you know, we will wait to hear from them. They want to hear, and I'm hoping that those from APP, the candidates, and those who are working with the candidates, the you know, will take some of these questions and take back to them. I don't have anybody on from APP on. They are busy in the field. I know that they're doing a lot of canvassing, hitting the pavement, talking to people. But those are great questions. Great question, Dave Mayers. Very, very good question there. And David Eversley's asking, how is his, I suppose he means the, David Atherley's credibility questionable more so than anyone else's. Just saying, you know, everybody who comes on and said, you know what, they promise you this and so on and that. And, you know, I mean, we believed, look at it, we believed the current prime minister when we were told there was going to be a referendum. Let's be honest about that, right? Didn't we? We believed that. Did it happen? No, it didn't. It didn't happen. Yeah. It didn't happen. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Can we have one of those another video? I just asking for that at this point. I'm not hearing much from my audience about what they've heard. Are you happy with what you heard? You watched it? Are you happy with what you've heard? Okay. Think about that as we play this other video.
I want to say, as leader of the opposition, and of course as political leader of the Alliance Party for Progress, I really do decry the Prime Minister's call for Barbadians to give the Barbados Labour Party all 30 seats in the House of Assembly in the next election. This is now a call repeated by the Prime Minister. It's not the first time. So it seems an urgent matter for her. Indeed, her seeming even plaintive cry of recent hours on this matter suggests indeed it is an urgent matter, which perhaps reflects a fear on her part that the party in the office of government today will not do as well as she and others may have anticipated in the upcoming general elections. Maybe internal polling is telling the Barbados Labour Party leader that. But though it may be for her an urgent matter, though we hear her plaintive cry, I really think that for Barbados, it really is a sinister thing to hear a leader of government calling for all 30 seats and suggesting very strongly to Barbadians that they should not vote for opposition candidates.
And traditionally, the majority of people have given the Democratic Labour Party the opportunity to represent them. In 2018, the people gave the Barbados Labour Party that opportunity. Now, I understand what people were doing in 2018. I understand that Barbadians were so disappointed with the Democratic Labour Party that they made a decision to change the government. That decision that they made ended up with us being in a situation where there was no opposition in the Parliament of Barbados. No opposition until Bishop Joseph Atherley took that step to create an opposition to give the country an opportunity to have a formal voice to question the activities of government. Now we have this hastily called election. I'm not going to comment really on whether it should have been called or not. The point is, we are here. And we are here trying to do our best to meet with individuals Sorry for that little interruption. But we're all here trying our best to keep ourselves safe and keep you safe by engaging with you in a way that we wouldn't cause any significant difficulties to anybody. This is why our meetings are going to be short. This is why we canvass in the way that we do. We can't do it like how we did before. But these are the circumstances in which we find ourselves. Now, as I said, I understand what people were doing in 2018. They felt that the government of the day, the Democratic Labour Party, had not performed in the way that they expected. And so they went out in their numbers to vote in the Barbados Labour Party. And since then, over time, people have been disappointed in the Barbados Labour Party as well, because the issues of good governance have not been addressed. There are many decisions that have been made without consultation with the people of Barbados. There was no consultation on the VAT-free day. There was no consultation on the safe zones. And there was no real consultation on the Republic either. So Barbadians were told that we are a republic, but when you ask what kind of republic, nobody has the answer. Because the Republic of Dominica, and when I say Dominica, I mean our Dominica in the Caribbean, is different from the Republic of the United States of America, which is different from the Republic of the Dominican Republic. So there are different types of republic, and we just have no idea what kind of republic Barbados is. No consultation. No consultation with the people. And we would have thought that we would be advancing our democracy. But when Barbados was considering independence, there was far more consultation, people going around into the communities, speaking to people. That was not done on this occasion. And there are those who might say that we are in a pandemic, so we cannot have those consultations. That might be the excuse. But why the rush to a republic? Why the rush? That was never explained. So Barbadians are becoming, or were becoming, before the election was called, just as disappointed with the Barbados Labour Party as they were with the Democratic Labour Party. So right, they were becoming just as disappointed with the Barbados Labour Party as they were with the Democratic Labour Party. And one of the biggest issues in Barbados continues to be the issue of dealing with corruption. People who come to Barbados of all walks of life say to me that there is always some kind of shenanigan going on when you seek to interact with people in positions of power. It is never straightforward. You have to talk to a particular person. But the Democratic Labour Party did not put the integrity legislation in place. They were saying that there is a prevention of corruption bill already in place, and that is true. The Barbados Labour Party, before they were elected, said that they had a draft bill. This bill went to Parliament, or a bill went to Parliament, and one of the most amazing things happened. It did not have safe passage through the lower and upper houses. Amazing for a government that has 29 seats, that has 29 members of Parliament, and you cannot pass a piece of legislation that everybody should want. Everybody should want, I say. Now, the integrity legislation is a piece of legislation that allows you to measure what assets a politician has when he or she enters Parliament and what they have when they leave, so that you can make an assessment as to whether the assets that they have after 5 years, say, whether those assets has clearly be seen as coming out of their income as a minister. So if when you entered Parliament, you had one car and a house, it is unlikely that within 5 years' time that you will be able to own your own jet, that you will be able to own a big yacht, that suddenly you have apartments. These are the things that the integrity legislation would allow us to see. What the assets of politicians are. So then you should ask yourself, is it surprising that none of these politicians that you voted for in the last election would ensure that that bill was passed? And then they said, okay, we just need to make a few changes and we can bring it back. But while you were sleeping, all kinds of legislation was passed in the House. Even the credit bureau legislation was passed that is going to make us poorer than we were before. Because every time you miss a bill, paying a bill, if you miss a loan, if you pay half the bill instead of paying the full bill, which people do, that is going to go directly to the credit bureau, and it is going to increase or decrease your credit rating, make your credit rating worse. So then when you go for a loan again, your interest rate might be higher. When you go to apply for utilities, your deposit will be higher. Taking more money out of the pocket of poor people and putting it in the hands of rich institutions. When your interest rate goes up, you're making more money for the banks. When you have to pay a higher deposit for utilities, you are giving those big companies more money. Now, why would the government want to do that to you? when the government knows full well that the majority of people in Barbados, and I'm not only talking about poor people, I'm talking about people who call themselves middle class people. A day sometimes comes when they cannot make that payment on that loan or they can't pay that bill. And we get a bad score for that, which then increases the cost. And I don't mean fancy cost of living that you hear the economists talking about. It increases the cost of living for us. And the Barbados Labour Party found time to pass that bill, but found no time to pass the integrity legislation. And some people may be saying that, yes, we know politicians thief and they've been doing it from the beginning of time and they will continue to do it. That might be true, but what we are saying is that if you do it, you should be made accountable. That's right. And I want Barbadians to understand what stealing your resources means. It means that money that should be going to educating your children, buying books for them, repairing schools, is siphoned off and goes to friends and family. It means that we continue to be in a state that if you have to go to the hospital, that your family has to bring almost everything for you. Sheets, pillowcases, knives, forks, toilet paper, soap, everything in our healthcare facilities. It wasn't always so. So it means that it has gotten worse, and it means that Barbados is now regressing. So I want us to take this seriously. Don't listen to the people who try to tell you that you can do nothing about it. My friend here just spoke about Singapore and about countries who decide that corruption steals opportunities from their children and grandchildren and refuse to allow it to continue. Barbadians must be brave enough to do the same thing. I hear some Barbadians saying that they're going to leave and go to Canada. Or they want to leave and go to England. Or they want to go to Switzerland. Why? Because those countries are nice. Why are they nice? They have integrity legislation to stop people in power from stealing their money. They lock up people. Barbadians have to become serious about the country that they live in. We can do better. You see all those European countries that have such a wonderful standard of living? They used to be just little fishing villages. They used to go hunting sharks and whales and all that kind of thing. That's what they used to do. But they built up their countries. Barbadians need to get serious about building up their country. We cannot build it up if our resources are being siphoned off and being given to a few people. Right. Where opportunities are only being given to a few. And there are too many of us who are becoming too politically savvy. People who focus on whether something is a boss move or not, as opposed to whether it is right or wrong. We don't need the public of Barbados to become savvy politicians. We need them to be concerned about their children and their ability to get opportunities. Because yes, we educate them. People talk about the different opportunities we have in education. You know, sometimes I tell people, if I were going to school in this time, I probably would not be a lawyer because there are so many other choices that you have out there to do so many interesting things. But when these children leave community college and UE and wherever else, and the Alabama Center for Creative Imagination, we have not created any industries for them. We have not created any industries for them to come and perform in. Allowing somebody to paint a mural every 20 years is not building an industry. Allowing someone to perform at Independence Time is not building an industry. Picking the usual suspects to write jingles is not building an industry. And we have so many of our young people who are gifted in technology, who are gifted in the arts, who are gifted in fashion. It is a fact that there are many of our young people right now doing work for firms overseas. But that is a small thing. What would happen if the government truly invested in these sectors? Put real money in it, like how real money is put into tourism. Because we cannot live on tourism alone. The pandemic just showed us that. Correct. The pandemic demonstrated clearly to us that we cannot live on tourism alone. And you know what this last government did? As soon as they had a little breathing space from the pandemic, they jumped right back into tourism. Did not give any other industry a chance. The pandemic showed us that if we thought that health and wellness was a joke, it taught us that in order to protect ourselves from any of these viruses, the ones that have passed or the ones that will come, that this country has to focus on health and wellness. And that is not a soft topic. That is a hard topic. Because I honestly believe that if we were healthier, we would cut our healthcare bill significantly. Can we have a vision where you only go to the hospital if you're in an accident? Or if you have a baby? Can we have a vision for that?
Yep.
Can we have a vision where you are not going to the hospital because you have high blood pressure and diabetes and you're sick? You know, a healthcare professional told me that this is the busiest time of year for them. You know why? Because people eat themselves sick, eat and drink themselves sick over Christmas. That's sad. The Alliance Party for Progress has an important health and wellness plan, which it will present to the people of Barbados. And the thing about it is, we're not just going to make pie in the sky promises. We're going to have action plans. We're going to have targets to reduce, for example, the number of people who contract diabetes. You'll be able to tell. We will say that over a period of time, we will reduce it by X% until all of our people become healthy. This Barbados Labour Party administration put health and wellness in the title of the ministry and then did nothing about it. They put creative in culture and then did nothing about it. In fact, they shut down the industry and then shut down John King.
Yes.
Simply because somebody had a friend that they wanted to bring to run. So that's how we do things in Barbados now. Because you got a friend, you can just decide that the people of St. Philip West should have the representative that they voted for removed, and you bring somebody else. Just like that. I am saying to you tonight that today, January 19, 2022, is not the time for the Barbados Labour Party.
No.
And it is not the time for the Democratic Labour Party again. How is it possible that we put people in Parliament? We walk around and we talk about the corrupt activities that they have been involved in. And then we put them back.
Don't make sense. Correct. Does not make sense.
Now, what is the basis for that?
Apologies.
It does not make any sense. Someone who is going to be, and it seems as though it is affected. It seems as though it is affected that there were corrupt activities. Nobody denies it. And you take these same people and put them back in Parliament? What would be the basis of doing that? And then you turn around and say that all politicians are the same, not seeming to recognize that they seem the same because you keep putting back the same ones in the Parliament.
All right.
That's why they're not different, because they're the same ones. The same ones that don't do any work in the constituency. The same ones that believe in political shenanigans. The same ones that will have had money allocated to build a pavilion up in Harlington and refuse to do it. That knew there was money there from 2018. And then, when the election was coming around again, sent some fellas to dig out a foundation to trick the people up there and to trick you that they were actually doing something. The foundation's still up there. Nothing else has happened from 2008. Ben was responsible for getting all the bush and everything cleaned up from up there so that there are playing fields that y'all can share in as well. Playing fields and hard courts. And then people allowed this man to trick them by digging a foundation and doing nothing else. So from 2008 to 2021, when this election was called, you have had the Barbados Labour Party, the Democratic Labour Party, with a representative in this constituency who refused to do anything for the young people in this area. And you're going to put them back in? This is the time that you have to start considering candidates. This is the time that you have to start considering a new political party. You need to consider a party other than the B's or the D's. I know that for years you have never voted for anybody other than the B's and the D's. Most of us are in that position, but it is time to change.
Yeah.
Most of the other countries in the world have more than 2 political parties, and they are doing exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. Because what is happening in Barbados now is that the Bees get the government, they stay there for a period of time, the Dems relax, they go about their business, and when election is called, they turn back up and say that, well, it's our turn now. But it can't go on like this. We have to get back to politics of development.
Yep.
Not politics of tricking people, of buying votes, of pretending to do work that you're not doing. Look around at your country. This is the Barbados that was at the same level as Singapore. I know people are going to say, oh, but we have different cultures. But really, what's the excuse for Barbados not progressing? Because after we put free education in place and free healthcare in place, we stopped. We stopped. We haven't done much that is progressive since then. And it is time that we do it. I find it frustrating that individuals get the opportunity. You give them an opportunity. They seem to think that winning a seat is the be-all and end-all. Winning a seat is just the beginning. Winning a seat is about starting to work. And they don't seem to understand that. You need to send them a message. You need to send them a message that winning a seat is an opportunity to work. Winning a seat does not mean success. And we have politicians that boast that they have been in parliament for 25 years. And their constituency is no different from how they found it. No programs for young people. No programs for people seeking employment. No programs for self-development. No programs to make sure that every home has fresh food, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables around it. Nothing. It would seem as though when the politicians get into office, they wish to keep the people as they found them, so that they will be forever dependent on them. That is not my wish. I do not need that. I do not need that kind of ego. I believe it is time that you send the message. The message has to be sent that you want something different for yourselves. It is not good enough that people are just saying, oh, I will leave Barbados. Barbados is one of the best countries in the world. When you look at the kind of climate that we have, this is one of the best places to live. And I'm just afraid that so many of us will give up on it, that other people will come and take it over. Because it is one of the best places to live. But we need to have those things in place that will make a difference. Barbados cannot continue to borrow and not think about growth. I mean, who does that? In your own household, do you continue to go to the bank to try to get money? Then switch to the credit union. Then switch to fast cash. Then ask your parents, ask your sister. You keep borrowing and don't look for a job. So Barbados is up to $800 million. When before people were afraid when we had borrowed 40 million, now it's 800. Are we afraid? That has to stop. And when I talk about the government putting a plan in place, I mean a real plan. I want to know what they do on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And that's what Barbadians should be demanding. And that is what the APP would do. That is what I would do in this constituency.
All right.
I will tell you what my plans are from day to day, and you can hold me to it. You can hold me to it. So Rahul, I want to thank you for allowing us to come to you tonight. Thank you for engaging us when we canvass you. And I'm asking you to vote for me, to vote for Lynette Eastman on January 19th. This can no longer be about the Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party alone. One of the reasons that we got free education was so that we could think for ourselves. Who is the
Okay, we have a little challenge there, but she was just getting
best time to say that the
okay, that's Miss Lynette Eastman live in Rock Hall, St. Philip. She's doing her spot meetings throughout her constituency there in St. Philip. And so we are happy that we got a little piece of it. But we do have some of the other candidates that we want to share with you what it is that they're saying and what it is that what some of their plans are. I know someone here is asking, what are your plans, Miss Eastman? And we had shown the presentation twice in this program. So at the end of this, this live will always be on the Marcy Week Show, or you can check it out on the Facebook page of APP, and where you'll be able to hear what some of their plans are. And I know that the manifesto is coming up, guys, so you'll be able to read that through and get some more information. The questions that you're asking on this show tonight, I guarantee you that we are going to take these questions and present it to the leadership of APP so that you will be able to get answers. So listen out to some of those answers tomorrow on the show at 7 o'clock. At this time, we're going to show you. We have another video coming up for you. My technical person is telling me that. So here we go.
My bad, you're into the thick of it right now.
Yes.
How has the campaign been going so far?
The campaign has been going good. It's positive. We've been getting positive feedback. Like other candidates, we are going to encounter a number of people who are just frustrated with the what has been being offered by the Democratic Labour Party and the Barbados Labour Party over the years. And I've been having to encourage some people, do not vote. Vote, you have options. There are other parties that are running, and there's the Alliance Party that's running, and we have options at this point in time.
It's interesting that you said do not vote. So have you been hearing from people that they want to stay home and they're not going to the polls?
Yes, most definitely. People are frustrated. If you thought there's a lot of voter apathy, if you even in this constituency, even though Mr. Talking one, like a large majority will recognize at least 48% of voters did not come out. That's significant. That's a significant number. And those are things that we have to look at. You have to understand why it is that stopping people from voting. And you know, there was a lot of apathy last time with the Democratic Labour Party, and there are still people out there who continue to be like that. And it is to reach some of those people because we are really at a transition stage in Barbados, and Barbados needs new governance, and it needs new candidates who will represent the people and represent them well. You know, I think one of the major concerns that you're encountering is just the lack of transparency and how things are being done. You know, the key thing is to understand that sometimes ministers and government think that people are not seeing, but they're seeing the things that are being hidden. And those are things that have to be addressed if we are going to create opportunities for everyone, not just our friends and cohorts. We have to ensure that there is greater transparency in how government does things and how we govern our people, and even in issues as it relates to corruption. Corruption, I think sometimes we call that word, but we do not understand the basics of it. Corruption affects everybody. When money is mismanaged, when it's misspent, it means government has to look for new avenues to create that income. It means that you and I are going to be taxed more. You know, these are the issues that are coming out consistently. It means that some of our people in our constituencies may not get jobs because a politician prefers to give a person who has run a campaign a job. I mean, those sort of things will happen, but it means that other people will not have opportunities. Other people who may be skilled, who have the necessary skills to do even better. And those are the type of things that I would want us, even as an alliance party, to address. I mean, I have seen over the years where you have people who are skilled, who have the knowledge, the experience, and that kind of thing, who are not chosen for certain positions simply because the fact that they are not supporting a particular political party. Those are things, if we really want to have people who are knowledgeable and skilled and can if we really want to see reform in government, these are things that must be addressed. You know, we just cannot be choosing party because of people because of political alliance, but we have to choose the people who are willing to make a difference and who can change and bring reforms in certain areas.
So what do you think that you
Okay, so that's Maria Phillips from St. Michael North. She's the APP candidate from St. Michael North. Sean Carter seemed to be really connecting with her, and he is saying transparency and integrity, that those are key factors. Yes, so let's hear from Patrick Tannis. Patrick Tannis. Okay, so we're still not hearing that. Dennis Tate is saying, go out and vote. Stop that saying that you are not voting. It is important. This is a serious time. We, the electorate, we are the real government. Okay, so he's saying this is what Dennis Tate is saying. Go out and vote. You know, I was like that. I said I wasn't voting. I literally said that, you know, that I wasn't voting. And, you know, now, you know, I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind because I see how important it is. And, you know, and I started to look, because if I was to focus on you know, what I've done before, I really wouldn't bother. But, you know, I see some things happening and I know what I'm going to do. All right, so go ahead. Let's hear from Patrick Tannis.
I want to talk to us about the Bitcoin and the blockchain generation that we're raising up. These folks right here are very aware of it, and it's going to be part of the app that we're going to apply to all of the people in St. Michael Southeast, especially here in the heartland. We also want to talk to you in a big way about all of the possibilities that the training of all of the kids coming out of school and every adult who has that ability, who has that mindset, who has that willingness to learn, we're going to teach them the program. So we're going to go blockchain, teaching them all the blockchain skills, including Haskell and all the other things. And then we're going to go into cryptocurrency in a major way, so that Barbados becomes the cryptocurrency and the blockchain headquarters of the entire world. This will cause Barbadians to be able to access wealth and to be accessing investment funds for their ideas that will cause their wealth to start from nothing sometimes, or little bits, and to be able to increase. We're going to work closely with New York. As you probably can tell, Judge Radix is now in charge of all legalities in the city of New York. She's a good friend of mine, and we're going to start to work with New York. These are all calculated moves to make Barbados the headquarters in a sovereign way of all cryptocurrencies and all legitimate, of course, cryptocurrencies, and all, when I say all developmental, forward-looking, and innovative, and with all the skilled people coming here to make Barbados the cryptocurrency and the blockchain capital of the world. It's a $1.34 trillion US market, and that type of investment with jobs, new buildings coming everywhere, including in the St. Michael Southeast area, Bridgetown, warrants, but Barbados is going to be able to access that kind of skill and raise up that kind of skill. It's on Barbados. We've got an app for unemployment, and it's called the App Party.
That is Patrick Tanis from St. Michael's South. St. Michael's South, and he is one of the app candidates. And you hear he's saying they got an app for that, right? Well, anybody, any comments on what you're hearing? Cryptocurrency. Denise is saying something here, and I'm getting ready to read her comments. What are your comments, guys? Crypto, love Patrick Tanis, she said. And she says, cryptocurrency, a new learning curve, but has great opportunities for many. And, you know, and this is what he wants to how he wants to, some of the plans, people are saying, what are the plans? So you're hearing them coming through. Yeah, you hear the plans are coming through. That's Patrick Tanis, APP candidate for St. Michael's Southeast. I forgot the East. So that's Southeast here. And this is what is happening. Hi, Patsy Nurse, great to have you, and everybody who's listening. I believe that's the same Patsy Nurse, I hope, who's a candidate for Alliance Party for Progress, right? One of the third parties. A great to have you. And we have some more videos coming up, because I think we need to hear from our candidates and you know, get a sense of who they are. We do there is a Facebook page that you can you'll be able to, if APP can put the link to the Facebook page, the Alliance Party for Progress. I can see that they're watching, and put the link in the chat so that people can go to the page, you know, and find out more. All right, so here again, you can watch our candidates.
We rocking with the APP. We voting the APP. With Bishop Joseph Early. We voting for APP. Yes, we believe, so we unite. Together hand in hand, we stand up against the fight. Corruption that's so denied. Every agent from their fair and equal rights. Integrity, our philosophy. Good governance is what we've got to give. We say no more big bad wolf parties. It's time for change, so vote the APP. We rocking with the APP. We voting the APP. With Bishop Joseph Early. We voting for APP. We voting for what we know. We know most of them got to go. We heads not down in this side. We know utterly is demand. No more one party politics. No more big shots and no more tricks. No more one party politics. No more big shots and no more tricks. We rocking with the Alliance Party for Progress. We exist for your best children. We voted for APP. Who we voted for? 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 APP. We rocking with the APP. We voting the APP. With Bishop Joseph Early. We voting for APP. Yes, we believe, so we unite. Together hand in hand, we stand up against the fight. Corruption that's so denied. Every agent from their fair and equal rights. Integrity, our philosophy. Good governance is what we've got to give. We say no more big bad wolf parties. It's time for change, so vote the APP. We rocking with the APP. We vote Who we voting for? 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 Who we voting for?
Ah, that's who you voting for, APP. Oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. Okay, so here is the APP website, www.appbarbados.org. And so get familiar with the site so that when the manifesto comes out, will be out very, very soon, I'm told, that you'll be able to find the information there. Amarelli saying APP. And here is the Facebook page. Guys, please go and like the page and share. Remember, as I was saying, that they don't even have an eighth, of or 1/16 of the money that some of the other parties have. A lot of these third parties, all of these people, and I'm from athlete, everybody down there going from their own pockets, okay, for their campaign. As you could imagine, it came on them very, very sudden. A lot of these people were in the pandemic, just the same way you're struggling, with business people are struggling and so on in the pandemic, the same way a lot of these candidates. So we need you to help them. Anytime you see something from a third party, share it. Come on, let's help them. They're bold enough to take a stand. Okay, let's hear from the man again. That's his song say, right? Voting for APP and going with Bishop Arthur Lee, right? All right, so let's hear from Bishop Arthur Lee. All right, let's go.
Barbadians do not want, now, they never wanted, one partyism in Barbados, one party state in Barbados. In fact, the two-party dominant system in Barbados, which has been a traditional feature in our political practice and culture, is now seriously under question. My canvassing on the street with candidates of the Alliance Party for Progress, my own personal experience out there, has been one to suggest to me that Barbados are quite apathetic about the voting process in Barbados and the system of governance under which we live, and are feeling very strongly to be of the view that this two-party dominance is something that they want to break and see change. But that's not my issue here today. My issue is this call for a one-party state in this country, for a one-party dominance, for the demise and dismissal of other political parties in Barbados. It cannot be in the interests of the Barbadian people that a prime minister of a country makes a call like this. And if you want all 30 seats, you've had 29 for the past 3.5 years. What are the achievements of which you can honestly boast? Very loudly, you claim that you have reserves up to $2.8, $2.9 almost billion now. But what does not come admittedly as forthrightly is the fact that these are borrowed monies that we're talking about, monies that we have benefited from at the generosity of the hands of international and regional institutions. A lot of it conditioned upon the fact that the country was trying to position itself to make a manageable response to the COVID situation. So the money we have in foreign reserves has not been earned. Barbados' export base has not been broadened. So we are living on borrowed money. You continue to live on borrowed money, you're living on borrowed time. Among the 26 or 27 cabinet ministers, you want more, you want all 30 seats. Among the 26 or 27 cabinet ministers, who has distinguished himself or herself? Perhaps beyond the Minister of Health, who was pressed into service over the COVID situation. Who has distinguished him or herself as to commend him or herself to the electorate of Barbados as being worthy to return to the Parliament of Barbados and to be given the responsibility of a portfolio ministry? in the next administration should the Barbados Labour Party be returned to office. And what has been the quality of representation at the constituency level that the Prime Minister of the country could demand that we dismiss the opposition voices and vote for all 30 Barbados Labour Party candidates? What has been the quality of representation in the city of Bridgetown constituency? Let's ask the people. What has been the quality of representation in St. Michael's Central? Let's hear the voices of the people. What has been the quality of representation in St. Michael's Southeast? Let's ask the people in places like Pine and Wildy. What has been the quality of representation in St. Michael East, in the Ivy, in Mylors Hill, in Licorice Village? What has been the quality of representation in St. Philip West, where the candidate elected after 1 year said he started to have thoughts about not going again? Now you're seeing a new candidate put forward by the governing party. So what is the record of representation on which this party stands, and through the voice of the Prime Minister, attempts to demand all 30 seats of the electorate in Barbados? You know, there's a saying, he who seeks all power is not to be trusted. She who seeks all power brings her own trustworthiness into question. Our Constitution, our democracy is about checks and balances. If you're building a nation in a democratic culture, if we're living under a constitution that assures democratic privileges and rights, then perhaps any voice that wants to dismantle or erode the system of checks and balances, and that starts with government and opposition, that voice is to be heard with apprehension and perhaps some trepidation. One man asked many years ago, words which echo forth today and perhaps hold true meaning for us with respect to this matter. It's simply this: who will guard the guards? Prime Minister is saying, in essence, we want to be the guards. Our question, my question from the Alliance Party for Progress, question from Barbadians: who will guard the guards? I urge you, when you go out there to vote on January 19th, vote in the interests of Barbados. Vote in the interests of self and family and community. Vote based on the candidate that comes before you. Vote based on the policies that suggest better for you and your children and your communities and your country. Don't vote to give one party all 30 seats. That's not good for them. It's not good for us. And I commend to you the candidates of the Alliance Party for Progress, and where you find them worthy of your support, I ask you so to do, and I thank you very much.
Wow, very well said. Very well said. And you know what? Every time this man speaks, I mean, it's just so much wisdom, and you hear his heart. And this is exactly why he decided that he would make a stand for democracy, for a country that he loved, and decided to form the opposition. And I mean, I know that the people like the nurses, they're very, very happy for that, because out of that came Senator Franklin, you know. And so we're just very, very, very happy for the insight of Reverend Atherley. And the more I hear him speak, you know, it is the more that I said, wow, I can say, my goodness, what wisdom and what humility. You know, and that is the kind of leadership that I believe that we need in Barbados. We need a change, guys. We need a change. We need a change. Very, very important that we have a change. Now, there's some people who are making changes, and you know, we're a show, so I'm going to bring it up right now. There's another switch that has occurred, and you know, a lot of times with these switches, that's happening, I want them to speak. I want to hear why they are switching. Don't just switch, but we want to hear why. We want to hear why, because a lot of us we have some trust issues with this government, right? This is Starcom Network is reporting. And so I'm reporting what Starcom Network is reporting. It says another big B switches sides, right? And it's saying yet another female former governor senator has defected from the Barbados Labour Party and joined the Democratic Labour Party as a campaign strategist. Campaign officials of the Barbados Labour Party tell Starcom Network News that toward the end of December, former Senator Lynette Holder wrote the BLP General Secretary and Campaign Manager Dr. Jerome Walcott to say she was resigning from the party and at that time intended to be a DLP candidate. And it goes on to say that they're waiting to hear and this was on January 11th. That came out today. Today is January 11th, and we're waiting to hear why, because I think we're going to find out that a lot of what Ms. Eastman was talking about and a lot of what Reverend Atherley presented this evening before us are some of the reasons why you're seeing, some of these, stalwarts are leaving the party. And this is why we're saying, guys, take a look at the third parties. There's something else being offered. It's just so much of that you can take, right? Right? And Dennis State is saying we need an opposition regardless to who wins this election. 30 seats to one political party that, let me just bring it on the screen so everybody can see it. We need an opposition regardless to who wins this election. 30 seats to one political party say that you can muzzle people and push them down when they seem to be in your way. And let me tell you something. I don't know for a fact, but I believe, when they start to talk, we're going to get some real reasons of exactly why they're leaving. And some of it, I think, Dennis, you're touching on it. We do not ever want a repeat of what happened in 2018 ever again in this island. That's what I'm saying too, Dennis. That's what I'm saying. And, they said the poor people in this island is suffering. Guys, this is very, very, very important. This is one of the reasons I do this show. Is that to me, this should never happen again. Barbadians, remember what I said. It's not carnival. It's not carnival. Stop and think. Does this make any sense to us that we're going to give them 30 seats again? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. There has to be some kind of patriotism, something that rises up inside of us and say, no way. Absolutely no way. And when history is made, when years to come, when history is being told to our children, may it be said that the Barbadians stood up and stood up for country. Stood up for country. And decided that, listen, we want a healthy country. We want balance. That's who we are as Barbadians. Fair and balanced, as the Prime Minister said. Fair and balanced. That's who we are. And, Dennis, I tell you, this is the heart of it here, Dennis State. I don't know who you are, but you have captured the heart of this. You have captured what this is all about. No way. And, I'm trying to show one before we close, one more video on Reverend Atherley, because like you, I didn't know much about him. That's the truth. And, and I didn't know who he was, and the more I listen to him, the more I'm beginning to understand who he really is, and to perceive in my spirit who this man is. And, it took a lot of courage for him to do what he did. So listen to him. Let's hear what he has to say.
Sister, very good afternoon to you, your viewers, your listeners. Thank you for the invitation. Happy to have the opportunity to share.
Yes, great to have you. How are you holding up? I mean, I'm seeing you everywhere.
I'm holding up well. Grace of God. She's not that young anymore. She's middle-aged, but the wife of a friend of mine saw me first time in a long time today in a supermarket yard over the place. Said, "But Joe, you're looking very young." It's the grace of God. It's the grace of God. God always knows what He has in mind. Sometimes we don't fully understand what He is doing. I view my presence in the Parliament of Barbados, my involvement in the political process in Barbados is very much a part of my Christian calling. I'm called to serve the people in their interest, but ultimately for the glory of God. I'm called to serve this country. We do that in the institutional context of Parliament as well. And I believe that God has given me the opportunity to be there. Right now, I occupy the position of leader of the opposition. Now, I'll tell you something which several people don't know. And you know, many years ago, the Lord birthed it in my bosom. Hello? Yeah, are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
I was saying several years ago, the Lord birthed it in my bosom. I was even in the cabinet of Barbados at that time. So you're going back to 2006, 2007, that one of these days I would have a significant role to play in the opposition life of the Parliament of Barbados and in the life of the people of Barbados through the role of opposition leader in this country. I was a cabinet.
Repeat that. I want you to repeat that because how long ago was that?
Way back to 2006, 2007. The Lord put in my spirit, birthed in my bosom that one of these days, somehow I'm going to have to play a significant role in the institutional life of Barbados with respect to the Parliament, the role of some opposition presence that would be significant. I could not imagine that back then what that would have been. I was a member of the governing party. I was in the cabinet of Barbados as a minister of government, serving in the prime minister's office and all of that. But that was there in my bosom. That stayed with me. Even in the 2018 election campaign period, 3, 4, 5 weeks leading up to the actual election date, there are those on the other side in the Barbados Party parliamentary group right now who can tell you, we will go canvassing in the afternoon into the early night, and then we will take a break, come and relax together around a little bit of refreshment at the Chefette in Warren. And I would say, and I don't want to call their names, but you know, I would say to them, look, I know you are going to win your seat, and I know you will probably win your seat. I likely perhaps will win mine as well. But I have a feeling, and it's strong inside of me, that we are going to be sitting on opposite sides. There's no way that I could have known the election result would have been 30-love. But when the result came back as 30-love, it started to come to me that maybe this is the role that the Lord had identified for me and birthed in my bosom way back 2006, 2007. And the only result at that time that could have taken me across the aisle, the parliamentary aisle, the political aisle, to occupy any seat in the opposition of Barbados, having won on a Barbados Labour Party ticket, would have been the fact that there was nobody over there and that there was no opposition presence. And the Constitution of Barbados requires and prescribes that there be somebody occupying the space institutionally in the Parliament of Barbados that represents the alternative opinion, the opposition voice. And I readily understood that that was the role the Lord had for me. I was able, because of virtue of that office, to have a say in the appointment of judges, to have a say in the appointment of people to the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, to have a significant say in the nomination of our first Native President, Her Excellency, Most Honorable, Dame Sandra Mason. I was able to appoint 2 very capable, able senators to the upper house, Senator Caswell Franklin and Senator Crystal Drakes, who both did an amazing job. The Senate of Barbados in the last 3 years has done better than any other Senate, however constituted, I think, in terms of personalities in the past. So all I'm saying is, on reflection, I understand now what God was saying all those years back then. Where he takes me from here, I do not know. I always trust Him. I don't step ahead of Him.
what I can tell you that he gives me the boldness and confidence towards him, that whatever door he opens, I can step through, and I believe he will give me the enabling required for whatever function I have to perform. So he knows where we go beyond January 19th. I myself don't know, can't forecast that. There are people who have been telling me God has spoken to them and said to them certain things and said it very definitively. Well, I will accept what they say in good faith as having come from the Lord. But the point I'm making is that whatever God declares, wants, makes possible, I am available to him. Always live like that, available to him. Familiar with that narrative? That was one of the two main narratives that they put abroad out there, that I was sent there to do the will of the government under the guise of being leader of the opposition. The other one was that I was upset because I didn't get a cabinet position. And therefore, there are those around me who were part of my campaign, who all during the campaign would say to you, I said to them then, if you guys are here to help me because you believe I'm going to be in the Barbados Day Party cabinet when the party is elected, and therefore you will get help, you'll get a job, you'll get this somewhere, you need to disabuse your minds of that. I know for a fact I will not be in the Barbados Day Party cabinet, and I am not about that. Far from the party having put me over there, or its leader having asked me to go over there and to take a more or less, what should I say, a pretext, a position of pretext. Far from that, they tried their very level best to get me to stay with him. In fact, all I know, some of them still ask me to come back home. They believe I bleed red, my blood is red, and that the interest of the party still lie at the heart of, the center of my bosom. Look, I am firstly about Barbados. One of the things that I was accused of was being disloyal to the Barbados. I was never disloyal to the Barbados Party. It is that I responded to a higher sense of loyalty. There's a loyalty to my country, a loyalty to God. And I reflect on the past 3.5 years, and I wonder what life would have been like had I not gone over into the opposition. I mean, life for the people of Barbados, because the opposition has been able to lead the charge in stopping certain things in Barbados up until now, or at least bringing to the attention of an uninformed, perhaps a public not paying attention sufficiently enough to what was going on. And I would like to think that the Lord has helped over the last 3.5 years. Certainly Senator Drakes has done a tremendous job as a young woman, speaking on economic and financial matters, and people are glowing in their praise about her. I'm so sad that she's not interested in elected politics, and she's a Christian young woman as well. And of course, everybody knows Senator Caswell Franklin, very confrontational, very frank, very fair, and he was the first person that the Lord led me to call when I had to appoint a senator. Not because he shares a Christian perspective with me, or even a Christian value system. It's not that, because I knew that this country would have to go into an IMF relationship if we were to survive, and that once you go into an IMF relationship, then you start to talk about things like working conditions, layoffs, and levels of pay and expenditure of government and stuff like that. You get to deal with all kind of industrial relations matters. And there's nobody, in my view, better qualified in Barbados than Caswell Franklin to speak to those. And he's the type of personality and disposition that he will be in your face, regardless of who you are. And I like to think that in the last 3.5 years, I said to these two, look, I'm appointing you to the Senate and you'll be opposition senators. Yes, but please, I want you to understand, I'm the type of person, I'm not here to dictate or to bully. You do not have to feel that you must toe the line on issues with me. I will raise issues, confront government, put alternative opinion in the interest of the people of Barbados, as I see it in the lower house. If you have a difference of opinion on whatever matter, and especially if it's one of conscience, please be guided by your own sense of principle. Always speak in the interest of the people of Barbados. And that is what they have done. So a couple of times I've been in one position on an issue, and they have been on another. And the world looks at us and says, they're not together. Who's the real leader and all that? It's a nonsense. Because I've said to them, on any issue, take your own intelligent view. Be sensitive to the needs of the people. That is what comes first. Where I sit or stand, I will be sensitive to the needs of the people. I'll be very conscious of what I believe God wants me to say and do, and I will act from that perspective. You do the same.
I mean, this is so powerful because for a country who we got, it was 30-0, and you crossed the floor. That the Lord was preparing you from 2006 to take up this position, which you didn't know that this was going to happen. But God would have softened your heart and spoken to you from then. So when the opportunity came, you knew that this was it. And then for you to have that sense of knowing to invite Senator Caswell, to be an opposition senator. Where would we be right now, if we did not have his voice? And so that caused for a lot of integrity on your part, intuition as a leader, to know that we need to have a voice. We need somebody who is a man of the people. And when you talk on the street to people about Caswell, Senator Caswell, that's what they call him, a man of the people. So yeah. I personally, on behalf of Barbadians, want to say thank you, Reverend Atherley, for having that presence of mind to have that voice in the Senate.
And just as with Senator Crystal Drakes, I would have wished that Senator Franklin would want to enter into the elective political fray, but he's bent on serving the cause of unionism, and I understand that totally. I think there was a time in his life way back when he would have been interested in elective politics, but he had long passed that. So when I appointed him to the Senate, I knew he had no interest in elective politics. I knew that Senator Drakes had no interest in elective politics. I still did try out both of them, but I respected their opinion and value the contribution that they made in the interest of the people.
Wow, this is warms my heart. Again, don't you feel the love of God for Barbados?
Yes, I do. But I also feel a sense of dread, a sense of pain, because yes, God loves this country and he's blessed us abundantly. And that is one of the things that really irked me, if I may use that language, during the discussion, both public and the parliamentary debate on the proposed charter for Barbados, because I seem to be sensing a hearing in that we have leadership in this country that wants to take us down a path that sets some distance between us and God. Leadership in this country that wants to establish a national resolve on our part, a national spirit on our part, which does not accommodate a sense of God and the fact that he is sovereign. Therefore, we should derive from that an understanding that our discipline, our sense of discipline and values come from him, that we should express and show clear and open devotion for him, and that we have a sense of duty to serve him as we seek to serve each other. And it saddened me that, yes, God loves this country, but we have departed somewhat from that favored place, if you understand what I'm saying. But because of who he is, that sovereign God extends mercy and grace and keeps us within the bosom of his love. And we must not allow our people to become indifferent to that. And we must not pass on to generations behind us any legacy that is devoid of the sense of God and the place he must hold in the lives of the people of this nation. Well, the constituency in which I will contest the next election is St. Michael Central. And again, it's an interesting story. There are some people outside of St. Michael Central, there are a lot of people who would not know that that is where I grew up and had my early formation, St. Michael Central, in the heart of St. Michael Central. I was born in rural community of Joe's River in St. Joseph. But I moved to St. Michael with my family from quite young, my father and mother, and grew up in Station Hill. So all of my youthful years and my young adult life was fashioned, or would have been fashioned in Station Hill. I have been ministering as senior pastor at a church, which is also located in Hinesbury Road, or some people say Lower Station Hill, some people even say Upper Bank Hall. And I've been positioned as the senior pastor at this church for the last 3 to 4 decades. So I've had the opportunity to serve people. I've seen them in the times of bereavement, when they were sad, lost loved ones, and they've come to the church for support services and to bury their dead. I've been pleased to do that, and never charged a cent, because I believe it was a service to family in a time of bereavement, service to community. I've been with them not only in times of bereavement, in times of bliss. when they were christening their newborn babies, or when they were being joined together in holy matrimony. And I've been able to participate in all of this and officiate in these contexts. Again, I never a cent charge to anybody, because I was here to serve through the church. I've been able to lead that church in a ministry that has a social welfare assistance program. So people get assistance in terms of financial packages. They get assistance in terms of grocery packages and clothing and stuff like that from time to time, depending on the situation. Because ours is a witness which embraces emanates from a philosophy that, and it's a philosophy to which I personally hold there. And that is, if you live any day in this life without finding or creating, making the opportunity to do something for somebody outside of your family or yourself, and to do something, whether great or small, if you live any day without finding or making an opportunity to do that, then you have not fully lived that day and should not feel a sense of total fulfillment with respect to that day. That drives me. I try to bring that to the church. So we are very much engaging with the people in the church, with the people in the communities around the church. So St. Michael Central is home for me. I served, of course, since 1999 to 2008, and then from 2018 to now as primary level of St. Michael West. When I last ran in St. Michael West in 2018, I told many constituents then that that was my last election. I told my work support team that that was my last election. And several of those, of course, the work support team would have been Barbados Party members and supporters. And I told them, please feel no sense of obligation to follow me. My record in representation with respect to St. Michael West is strong. I will compare it over any time for anybody in any constituency in Barbados. And the monuments, the memorials, infrastructurally are there. I could carry you and point you to them. And so that was coming to an end as far as I was concerned. I actually approached one young man who is now a member of Parliament for somewhere else to be my successor in St. Michael West, but he ran somewhere else because I was still in St. Michael West, and he wanted to come ahead of my departure from West. He came and ran somewhere else. But so having decided, and I'll tell you this, it's about 2 years ago, because when I crossed the floor, I had no intention of forming any political party. I went across there simply to construct an opposition force in Barbados to gather people around me from some of the other political parties, UPP, Solutions, even the DLP, that can help me to mount a platform of spokespersons that could critique government policy, but not to form a political, and several of them gathered around me, and we built that structure. But then after about 8 to 9 months, some of them started to say we need to formalize and actually have a political party. The Lord led me to agree to that. Having agreed to that, he put into my heart that I cannot help these people with the formation of a new political entity and just ride off into the sun. So I knew then I had to run again. And I took a decision under his leading, prayerfully so, about 2 years ago, that I would run in St. Michael Central. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And I didn't say anything because I didn't think it was proper to be the representative for St. Michael West.
Right.
While announcing, and 2 years ago is 4 years ahead of the next general election, while announcing that I was going to be running in St. Michael Central. So I kept that here. Of course, also for political reasons, you don't want your opponents to know what you're about. So I kept that here. Not even my wife knew that. I may not be able to go home if she sees this, but she knows that it is true. And I kept that here. St. Michael Central, because it's a natural affinity for me. When I first sought to venture into elected politics, before I was elected in 1999 in St. Michael West, my interest was in St. Michael Central. But the Barbados Labour Party had a representative already in St. Michael Central. Yeah, so that didn't happen, but it was always there. The other reason is that, especially since 2008, when I was no longer in the Parliament of Barbados, many people from Station Hill, Bushall, Waterford, Bickham, I mean many, some of them I didn't even know what their political affiliation was or whether or not they were interested in politics. But many of them told me would you come and run St. Michael Central? That's a fact. I can bring them and let them speak to you. They asked me to come and run in St. Michael Central. So that was there. And I smiled sometimes to myself when I was asked because I knew what was in my heart, but I couldn't say to them, yes, I'm coming. So that's the story.
Wow, wow, this is really, really, really tremendous. And here we are, you know, we now have app.
Yeah.
Install the app.
Install the app, upload the app, download the app, whatever you want to do, but take the app.
Take the app, install, download, upload, and you know there is such a freshness to this, and I'm sure you would have heard. I don't know if you heard Apostle Canterbury talking about, you know, he had a word from God about the, you know, people losing confidence in the two traditional parties, and he had that word from back in the in 2000s, you know, and here we are today. There is such a freshness, and I know that there were so many Christians prayer groups that were praying about coalitions. And so to now see this coalition being formed, it's just like, what? It's happening right before our eyes. So can you tell us about APP?
Well, APP is the Alliance Party for Progress. And you may ask where the name came from. I remember when I suggested it to the UPP people. We had a meeting jointly, UPP and PDP, and I was asked, who gave you that idea for that name? Where'd that come from? I said, well, somebody said it to me, and but you would not understand what I'm talking about. And the Lord put that in my spirit. The Alliance, the app. I had 2 or 3 different variations on what the acronym app should mean, you know, but we settled on the one which now you see. But the acronym was in my heart and in my head. The expression of the acronym Alliance Party for Progress came out of consensual discussion. Well, we stand for a newness and a freshness in politics. We certainly believe that corruption is still rife in Barbados. I feel very strongly on that. We have a system of corruption in Barbados, which has become a culture, and it is a bringing together of several elements that establishes what, in my view, constitutes no less than a cesspool of corruption. You're talking about property developers, you're talking about financial institutions, insurance companies, people in the legal profession, people in the political arena. It's a real serious thing. We have to break the back of that corruption culture in Barbados. So we certainly are strongly against that. The app also believes that we need to adopt a far more transparent and highly accountable system of governance that more inclusively so entails the participation of our people outside of the exercise of a 5-year privilege of voting, which can be, as you're now seeing, manipulated to suit the interests of a political party. So we stand strongly against corruption. We're very concerned as to where Barbados is going with respect to debt. It is all right to incur debt if you're going to properly spend it on increasing productive capacity. If you can increase in productive capacity, then you can generate revenues, especially so foreign exchange revenues. But we are not in a position to do that. We have no clear platform for growth. We have no clear platform for generating foreign exchange, foreign earned revenue. So we are relying on borrowings, and we are masking that dependence on borrowings behind the fact that we have had to face down the COVID situation. Yes, we would have had to borrow some stuff to face down the COVID situation, but you can't stop there. There's going to be a post-COVID reality in Barbados, and it's going to be a harsh reality because we have not been using the time to build platforms that will trigger growth and earnest foreign exchange. It means your children will have to repay a debt, which is going to be a millstone around their necks. So we are very concerned about the debt situation, about the corruption situation, about the governance situation, And I myself feel personally aggrieved with the calls I hear coming from the Prime Minister in recent days about having, we need to have one government in Barbados and one government leader in Barbados and one Prime Minister. We do have one government. We do have one Prime Minister. So when I hear a call like that, I interpret that as a call to encourage one-partyism in Barbados, one-party dominance. We do not dare go there with the seeming agenda of the current leadership of the country. We dare not give to this party the opportunity to hold such a dominant position in terms of numbers in the next parliament. If the people's choice is to vote them back into government, then that is the people's say. And once that is done in a proper context and it is all legal, well, if the people decide to do that, and the power lies with the people. But I just feel a sense that God wants to see this country go in a different direction. I pray the people be guided, will feed that instinct and be guided in making a course of correction. We need to rebalance, redress the numbers of the configuration in Parliament and make sure that Barbados' best interests, the things we hold dear, the values that we cherished for so long time are preserved. What I've seen in recent times seems to constitute a pattern that bothers me. Began with the throne speech when there was every indication we're going to establish something called civil unions and we will consider same-sex marriages and we will put it to referendum. We have to do that in order to be compliant with the value system of the world upon which we depend for financing to get us through this life. I decry that. Then secondly, we did what we call the welcome stamp legislation, where we allow people to come here and live and work for a while. And in that, again, we changed the construct of family to include a dimension, an aspect of family called domestic partners. We went on from there to the legislation on anti-discrimination with respect to employment opportunity, and we put it in there again. Then we brought the charter that we were proposing to the country. We removed the reference to the sovereign God that we serve that was there prior, and we introduced a very humanist approach to the way national life is lived out in Barbados, and we introduced notions of fundamental rights attaching to everybody, notwithstanding their sexual orientation. Now, all of this discussion has taken place in Barbados before, and those who were principal in that discussion and who heard from opinions of Barbadians at that time felt reassured enough and assured enough about what they were doing that they did not put any of that thing in our constitution or in any preamble, or did not establish that as a value system or agenda that we would pursue. But we are at a point now where that is being pushed. If that was not sufficient, we went past the charter and we introduced some legislation about establishing of credit rating agencies in Barbados. And we found it necessary again to put that type of legislation, that type of phrasing and that type of emphasis in there. So it seems that there's a pattern to facilitate the alternative lifestyle agenda in Barbados and all that brings. Well, little by little, we are learning that there's money attaching to that agenda, the advocacy that accompanies that agenda, that there are many who are part of that lifestyle, want places like Barbados to come with their playmates, to engage in perversive sexual kinds of encounters. They want a place like Barbados. They can't go to Jamaica. No. But they want to come down here. And it seems to me that we feel that we have to facilitate them by creating the kind of legislative environment that pleases the world, a world which adopts values which are foreign to us. Your parents and mine, your church and mine did not raise us that way. Even our schools did not raise us that way. But now it seems that we are in a very liberal day, in a very secularist, ultra-secularist, ultra-humanist type situation where, yes, we can get rid of Massa and become a republic. We can get rid of the monarch and become a republic. And while we're doing that, let's remember, let's get rid of God. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Thankfully, that some of the independent senators have joined them in their positions from time to time and have stopped legislation in the Senate. That's happened maybe 3, 4, 5 times. And it's sent back. Yeah.
That is awesome. You know, as we close this interview, and you know, I want to take the opportunity to invite you back at some point. I know you are so busy and you're so in demand, but you know, we would love to invite you back on our Election Express, which is going to be every evening at 7 p.m. And so any of those evenings, we will discuss with you, you know, to come back to tell us what's happening, etc. But the final thing I want you to just quickly in a minute or so to just talk to the church. What do you want to say to the church today? The people who say, you know what, we shouldn't get involved in this. This is not for us. You know, we shouldn't get involved. What do you want to say to the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ here in Barbados?
I have heard some of that. You know, the Lord gave me the privilege of being the first Christian minister to be elected to the Parliament of Barbados. And there were those who didn't understand my involvement at the time. I've always said to people, you don't have to go anywhere to be involved in politics, you know. The major decisions of government policy are taken in Barbados in the context of the political process, political institutions, and they're implemented and executed in the political context. You don't have to go anywhere to be involved in policy. The Christian who believes that Christians should not be involved in politics, not understanding. Politics will come right through your front door uninvited because politics has determined that you can have a front door. There's some people who don't own their own homes. These decisions come out of the political process. If you don't own your own home, you don't have a front door. If the house is not yours, you don't have a front door. Politics determine whether or not you can have a front door. And politics comes through that front door. It will enter into the very privacy of your bedroom and it will determine how well you sleep or if you can sleep. Because if you're a husband or boyfriend and you don't have a job and there are 3 hungry children, you're not going to sleep well. It is a political process that is making it possible or impossible, difficult for you to get that job. So politics will come and touch us. We don't have to go anywhere. It will determine where and if your children can be educated. Political decisions govern the processes that govern our lives. So we are exposed. And I think, therefore, the church has a role to influence the political process. The best way to do it is by participating. And the Bible endorses that. Pray for governments, participate in government. Jesus was the social, before I said once to the minister of social transformation, first minister of social transformation on this earth was Jesus Christ himself. And you read the book of Luke in Luke's Gospel, chapter 4, talks about getting people out of prison. Yeah, talks about responding to those who are poor, needy, and all this, preaching the gospel to the poor, bringing change, not only spiritual change, but social change, atmosphere change around people, bringing that to people's reality so that they come to that better life that gives them a context out of which they can give God thanks and praise. That is what it's about. I've lamented that the church has not been involved sufficiently, but I think I'm seeing signs now that we are coming away.
Wow. Good night again to everybody. This is really a feast tonight. Really a feast tonight. You know, and I see people are still here, and we are closing now. We are closing now, and these shows were supposed to finish at 9, and we keep going over and over because this is so good. You know, as I said, this is not carnival over here. It's not crop over here. We're just talking. We're talking and we're taking notes and we're asking questions. And I know very well that there are people from app who are on. I can see some of these people. I believe that they're from app. And I'm going to ask you to take the questions. Go through the chat, please, because I would like to come back to the people with some answers to their questions. Either you're going to give me the answers or you can come on and answer the questions that that our people are asking. It's very, very important that we answer the questions. The other thing I want to say to you is that for all the third parties, guys, this is This, what they're doing is a labor of love. They are pulling their own pockets. They, remember, it was only 21 days they would have gotten the notice to start to mount their campaigns, and so a lot of them, it is very difficult to even find posters. So people say, "Oh, but we don't hear about them." You don't hear about them because, you know, you could see the posters of all of these candidates, but they don't have the money. They can't pay for an ad. You know, they can't go on the radio, and the traditional media, they don't even, you know, look at them. So we need your help, and they didn't ask me to do this. Again, this is of my own mind, and you know, I'm asking you to go to the website. This is at barbados.org. There should be numbers there. I haven't been to the website, but I'm sure every website will have a way that you can contact the people. Find the the Facebook page, and whatever you can donate to the party. I don't even know if they I don't know what they're gonna do with me after this, because they didn't ask me to do it. But I believe, say for example, the candidate presentation that they did tonight, that for me was so well done. You could see it, and it's a lot of volunteer work went into that, and people giving up their services, etc. I'm asking, is there anybody who you want to donate? So you want to boost this for them? You want to help in any way, whether financially or in any other way? Go to the website and find a way that you can help. And as I said, I don't know if the leaders are going to chastise me for this, but it's in my heart, you know. And as Princess Stella said, you know, I'm just a genuine person. I feel it, and I'm going to speak it. That's just me. So if you can help them, not just them, but any third party that you have, you know, listen to them and you feel convicted and you wanted to support them, find a way. Most of these third parties, they're pulling their own pockets, guys. There's no big budget. So can you help them? When you see a post comes up, shoot it to your story, you know, repost it, you know, sit and listen to what they're saying. Very important. And if you can donate, I think that presentation that they did tonight needs to be boosted on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Is there anybody who can help them to do that? Tomorrow night we're going to have the Barbados Sovereignty Party will be on, and the coalition, they're going to be on. So tomorrow night we're going to have them. Last night we were All Solutions Barbados. So, you know, this is all the third party train here. This is the Election Express, and everybody on this express, we carrying the third parties. I already want to support them. Okay. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Dennis Tate, thank you for all of the great comments that you're making. And Amarel and everybody who's on, Wayne P. Hoyt. I mean, he's a mainstay, always on, always on. Steve Moore, always on. I can't call everybody's name, but thank you. Alex is on, and Alex, I don't know if he'll be on. I know that it's a Barbados Sovereignty Party that will be on tomorrow, and I'm not sure if he's going to be on with them as part of the coalition. Pammy Paris, a mainstay, thank you so much. Karen Glasgow, and the Winston Clark. The list goes on and on. Thank you all so very much, and I hope you were inspired. I hope you were inspired to love Barbados, to love yourself more, to demand of our government more, because you mean more. God loves you. God loves Barbados. Go out and vote. Make sure at a minimum there is a strong opposition, and at a maximum, get rid of them. All right. God bless you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.